Chapter 478. He was very clear about the waste of his body. He knew what the changes in the Thunder Dragon aura meant, because he had experienced it once before. In the depths of his sea of consciousness, outside the talent soul, there was a bright golden ball. It was like a star embryo, a fetal star. How can the Thunder Dragon aura form a fetal star at the 6th level? Lin Feng was quite confused. According to his estimation, only when the Thunder Dragon aura reached the 7th level would it have the chance to gather the essence and transform the fetal star. However, the familiar scenes before his eyes were telling him with absolute certainty that the Thunder Dragon embryo star was about to take shape. In a short moment, the size of the disk vortex had increased by 10 times. It was like a ping-pong ball becoming the size of a basketball. Its spinning speed was even faster than before. It was a powerful attraction initiated by the core. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly remembered the thunder condensation during the thunder tribulation. It was also initiated by a core to gather thunder energy. How similar! Hiss! The energy of the thunder tribulation was constantly absorbed by the Thunder Dragon fetal star that was about to take shape. A large part of it was absorbed by the body, the skin, and the cells. In that instant, Lin Feng was enlightened. He finally understood. Aptitude is thunder aptitude. The perfect body can increase one's sensing ability by about 10 times. Assuming that my light and dark aptitudes are 100 and my thunder aptitudes are 5, then after the perfect body, it will be 50. But it's still increasing. My body's absorption of the thunder tribulation and my cells are changing and strengthening. 9. Thunder tribulation. It was not only absorbing the Earth's soul and the Thunder Dragon aura. It was also the skin, bones, cells, and even blood. Every part of the body was being rebuilt after being destroyed. It was constantly fusing and absorbing the energy of the Thunder Tribulation. It was different from normal holy aura. The energy of the Thunder Tribulation was the purest thunder energy. It contained the essence of thunder. The body's absorption was natural. It would increase one's sensing ability of thunder energy, just like the change of environment. Not much, but on the original basis, it can almost double, Lin Feng estimated. Just like the strengthening of the body by the thunder tribulation, it had also doubled. The first upgrade, it was the biggest and most obvious. In other words, my current thunder aptitude is comparable to my light and dark aptitudes before the perfect body. His thoughts were completely clear. Lin Feng felt a trace of joy in his heart. Calamity came with opportunity, and the energy of tribulation thunder caused his thunder talent to transform. At this moment, all of the lightning dragon energy cloud's energy had transformed into a giant cocoon that was continuously absorbing the tribulation lightning's energy. It was spinning at an extremely fast speed. A little, the energy of the gas cloud gathered at the center. The energy essence was refined, and the light outside gradually dimmed. That was the disappearance of the energy. Lightning dragons roared out from the rapidly rotating cloud. They could no longer suppress the birth of the powerful energy. Boom! The thunder dragon roared, and the light of thunder broke out of its cocoon. Wah! A resplendent light flashed. After lighting up the soul of the earth, the perfect thunder dragon embryo star took form like a star embryo. It was flawless. What are you doing? Chao Sheng's expression changed. The disciples of the Xiaoxiang sword sect immediately gathered together. He pulled out his sword and looked around vigilantly. In the blink of an eye, they were surrounded by the East Calm army. Captain He Shan and Vice Captain Luo Yisheng were in the middle, wearing faint smiles as if victory was in their hands. Not only did they surround the people of the Xiaoxiang sword sect, but they also surrounded Lin Feng. A turtle in a jar. What do you think? He Shan said indifferently. Chao Sheng's eyes turned cold. He looked nervous. Don't do anything rash. What did we do? He Shan spread his hands, and the soldiers around him laughed. Cold sweat dripped down Chao Sheng's forehead. He looked around in fear and gritted his teeth. Let us go, and Lin Feng will be yours. And then let you bring people to take revenge? He Shan sneered. Do you think you're smart, or do you think we're stupid? Captain, there's no need to talk nonsense with them. Luo Yisheng raised his hand, and his eyes shone brightly. He sneered and shouted, "Brothers, kill these useless people, and the 5 million Emo coins will be ours." Hua! The soldiers shouted in unison. In an instant, hundreds responded to the call. The captains rushed to the front, and the Chi Cloud soldiers followed behind. A chaotic battle was about to break out. Facing the Xiaoxiang swordsmen, who only had a dozen people left, and the strongest was only at the 9th stage of the Chi Cloud stage, the Eastcom Army's 100-man platoon had an overwhelming advantage. The difference was too great. In front of the huge bounty of 5 million Nemo coins, the selfishness of human nature was on full display. The Xiaoxiang sword sect will not let you go. Chao Sheng was covered in blood, and his eyes were filled with anger. He roared like a madman. However, no one cared about him. A cold light flashed through Hishan's steel fan, which easily broke through Chao Sheng's defense. Like a ferocious beast, Hishan sneered, "Don't worry, I will report this to my superiors. Unfortunately, you all died because you were chasing after the villain Lin Feng." Chao Sheng's eyes widened in horror, but in an instant his gaze fell behind Hishan. Chao Sheng's blood-red eyes seemed to reflect something, and he was shocked. Bam! Chao Sheng fell back. However, the expression on his face was not one of discontent, but of fear. It was mockery. Bam! In the next moment, Hishan, who was still proud of himself, had his head explode. He did not know what had happened until he died. Bam! 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 9 sounds rang out almost at the same time, like 9 meteorites falling. Captain Hishan, Vice Captain Luo Yisheng, and 7 level 10 Chiyun captains. Without exception, all of them died with their heads exploding. In an instant, the battlefield fell into a dead silence. Almost all the disciples of the Xiaoxiang sword sect were dead, and the Eastcom army soldiers were slaughtering without restraint. They were celebrating, but they did not expect the change to happen so suddenly. In the middle of the battlefield, a figure covered in blood and with broken armor stood up. Sizzle! Hiss hiss! Wild lightning shockingly screamed behind him. The ferocious lightning dragon had a golden glow, and the 9 dark lightning saber was filled with a domineering aura. One man with one saber looked down on the others. Lin Feng. He finally stood up. The 9 Dragon Sea Pearl chains had killed the 9 strongest people in the Eastcom army. Lin Feng had used all his strength to reveal his final trump card. His true Dragon Saint power had been completely exhausted, but with the strength of the Dragon Sea Pearl chains, even the most ordinary attack was enough to crush the Eastcom army. His consciousness was a little hazy. His head was a little dizzy. However, to Lin Feng, the current state of his saber was extremely wonderful. Only the Lightning Dragon Saint power was left. Purple Lightning Third Strike, Thunder Hell. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with murderous intent. The birth of the Lightning Dragon was unstoppable. After being silent for a long time, it finally erupted like a dragon emerging from the sea. Die! Lin Feng's saber broke through hell. Chapter 479. Lin Feng didn't run away. The formation of the Thunder Dragon embryo star changed everything. The originally irresistible and unstoppable tribulation thunder energy turned into pure thunder energy and was absorbed by the nestling star. The absorption ability of the Thunder Dragon embryo star was more than 10 times that of the Thunder Dragon aura cloud. To the Thunder Dragon aura cloud, a large amount of tribulation lightning energy was a heavy burden, but to the Thunder Dragon embryo star, after completely absorbing it, there was still a huge space left. It was unstoppable. Lin Feng instantly killed the strongest 9 people in the Eastcom army, causing their morale to hit rock bottom. The remaining 3 captains also didn't escape the fate of being killed. Lin Feng knew the principle of capturing the leader first. A dragon couldn't do without a leader. Without a leader, the Eastcom army was like a pile of loose sand and was completely defeated. Lin Feng killed in all directions. The Eastcom army soldiers scattered like birds and beasts, fleeing as if they had seen a devil. Chi! Boom! Under Lin Feng's saber, no one could withstand a single blow. He didn't have a titanium gray body, but he was now at the third stage of the Qiyun stage. His physique was comparable to that of an eighth stage Qiyun stage. His physique had increased by 2 stages. One was to increase his strength, and the other was to temper himself with the tribulation lightning. With effort came rewards. The 6th stage was Thunder Dragon Holy Aura, profound intent of thunder. With a thought, Lin Feng used the Thunder Dragon Sacred Cannon to drive the first 7 purple lightning strikes. He could vaguely sense the mysteries contained in them. His current lightning aptitude was comparable to his light aptitude before he formed a perfect body. His comprehension of the profound intent of thunder was naturally not bad. This is the 3rd strike, Profound Thunderhell. So this is how the 5th strike, Violent Thunder Shocking the 9 Heavens, is used. Reviewing the old and learning the new. Every time he struck out with his saber, it brought about a new experience. With the improvement of his saber technique realm and the sublimation of his lightning aptitude, the originally sealed path suddenly opened up. There was a glimmer of hope. It was a bloody mess. More than 10 Eastcom army soldiers fled. Lin Feng didn't chase after them. They were scattered in all directions. It was too difficult to kill them all, and there was no need to do so. Even if I kill all of them, the death of the Eastcom Army's 100-man team will definitely fall on my head. Lin Feng smiled, but it didn't matter. Since he was already here, he might as well make the best of it. If the Eastcom Army wanted to kill him, was he supposed to let them kill him? Back then, he was still weak. He wasn't afraid of the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Now that he had become much stronger, so what if he offended the Eastcom Army? No matter how strong the Eastcom Army was, could it be stronger than the God Nirvana sect? Stronger than Left Purple Pupil? Bending down, Lin Feng picked up the Dragon Abyssal Pearl. The 9 Dragon Abyssal Beads could be used to defend against tribulation, lightning, and hidden weapon attacks. Even if it doesn't contain the true Dragon Saint power, its material and power are terrifying, Lin Feng thought to himself. Using the 10 scrolls flying daggers to attack, a single dagger could kill a 3rd stage embryonic warrior. Even though it was a sneak attack, the strength of the attack was truly astounding. If it's filled with the true Dragon Saint power, then the true Dragon Saint power will be greatly affected. The power of the Dragon Abyssal Pearl. How terrifying is it? Lin Feng's figure flashed, and the Dragon Abyssal Pearls were all retracted. Every one of them was a priceless treasure. Xiaoxiang Sword Sect, 3rd Stage Fetus, 3rd Stage Ji Gang died. Jingxing City's Eastcom Army, 3rd Stage Embryonic Warrior, he fanned death. The arrival of these 2 pieces of news made the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect and the Eastcom Army, who were pursuing Lin Feng without restraint. They were greatly shocked. In an instant, the wind and clouds surged. The experts of the 2 factions were uneasy and hurriedly rearranged. Everyone knew very well what these 2 pieces of news meant. Lin Feng's strength exceeded the 3rd stage embryonic warrior. The leader must be at least the 4th stage embryonic warrior. Condensation, Sword Wu Qi's face was ashen. Furthermore, there must be at least 3 4th stage embryonic warriors and at least 30 Qi cloud experts. Keep in touch. If you find any traces of Lin Feng, immediately lock onto his location and inform me. We must capture him. Condensation Sword Wu Qi appeared fierce on the outside. It had been a long time since he had encountered such a troublesome matter. The most annoying thing for Sex was this kind of loner whose strength was difficult to distinguish and who was good at tracking and concealing. He was a bachelor. He had no ties and no burdens. The most troublesome thing was that he couldn't find his aura, making tracking him extremely difficult. 3 of his Xiaoxiang 13 Swords brothers had already died. Bastard. Wu Qi was furious. Thunderhell. Lin Feng roared as the silver light condensed around his body. The 6th stage titanium grade body was mixed with the Thunder Dragon Saint Qi. The Thunder Dragon Saint Qi of the 4th stage embryonic realm was even more powerful than the 7th stage netherworld energy. After all, it was enhanced by the true Dragon Saint power and the Thunder Dragon scripture. Moreover, the Purple Thunder Saber technique's true power was the power of thunder. Boom, boom, boom. The saber technique was a group attack, and the saber force filled the sky. Everywhere the thunder saber technique passed, those below the fourth stage embryonic warrior level died tragically. The thunder hell was now even more powerful in Lin Feng's hands. Using battle to nurture battle, one's strength and understanding of the saber technique would always be the fastest. The key is the heaviness. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. The heaviness of the profound meaning of thunder drives the heaviness of the entire thunder saber technique, spreading out like a cloud of qi. Lin Feng understood. Previously, his thunder aptitude was too ordinary, so he had to rely on the dark demon Saint Qi. Now, just the explosion of the thunder dragon, Saint Qi alone, was more powerful than before. His strength was increasing, and his saber intent was sublimated. Even if he didn't use the titanium gray body, he could fight with a lower stage embryonic realm expert. Once the sixth stage titanium gray body was activated, his strength would be comparable to a middle stage embryonic realm expert. Thunder hell. I've almost comprehended it. Lin Feng activated the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber technique. The Overlord's battle strength activated the Wild Tyrant Saber technique. Whoosh! Lin Feng went straight for the thin swordsman in front of him. The Xiaoxiang mark on his armor was extremely clear, and the long sword in his hand glowed with water. His strength at the 4th stage embryonic realm was many times stronger than the green sword. But at this moment, the thin swordsman's eyes were filled with fear and shock. Purple Thunder Ninth Strike. Lin Feng's saber was like the wrath of heaven. Boom! The 9th strike, Divine Thunder Demon Shocking Wrath of Heaven, is complete. I've also comprehended the profound meaning of darkness, Dark Devour. But the fusion is still a little short. Lin Feng put away the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber and stood upright. Beside him was the thin swordsman who died with his eyes open. He died tragically from the lightning strike. The silver light slowly dissipated. Lin Feng clenched the 9 Serenity Thunder Saber and carefully recalled the battle. He sighed softly. What a pity, if only he could be a little stronger. 4th stage embryonic realm. I'm now at the 4th stage of Qi Cloud. The strength of his body is comparable to the 9th stage of Qi Cloud. The 6th titanium level eruption is comparable to the 4th stage embryonic realm. After the transformation Thunder Tribulation, Lin Feng's strength improved by leaps and bounds. Transformation period. Little Yun's improvement is too great. Lin Feng sighed. The energy of heaven and earth absorbed by the interminating physique has increased tenfold. In less than a day, my earth soul has been promoted to the 4th stage of Qi Cloud. It won't be long before it reaches the 5th stage, the 6th stage. This transformation Thunder Tribulation was worth it. Too worth it. Lin Feng smiled. Chapter 480. Mission Failure. Mission Failure. The various city lords were somewhat embarrassed. Hundreds of Eastcom army squadrons died in the wilderness. Although these squadrons had temporarily formed squadrons to arrest the culprit, the one who issued the mission was the city lord after all. The Eastcom army's greatest duty was to protect the city and fight against the demons, not to fight among themselves. Retreat. Orders were issued one after another. Although the Eastcom army pursuing Lin Feng was indignant, the army had its rules. They naturally couldn't violate them. City Lord Lan, can you make an exception? Condensation, Sword Wu Qi looked anxious. He wasn't as arrogant as he was in the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Instead, he was a little subservient. However, he had no choice but to lower his head. The middle-aged man in front of him was an out-and-out stage 10 expert, Lan Kong, the city lord. In terms of status, he was even higher than the Xiaoxiang sword sect master. I've already made an exception for 10 days on account of Brother Xiao. In the end, Lan Yi's gaze deepened as he snorted. As you can see, 3 Eastcom army squadrons died for no reason in Win Mist City. In just half a month, a total of 500 Eastcom army soldiers died. 500. How many of your Xiaoxiang sword sect members died? Lan Yi's voice was filled with mockery. Congealing Sword Wu Qi immediately choked back his words. This matter has already affected the reputation of our Eastcom army. Let's stop here. Lan Yi's expression was indifferent as he waved his hand. Men, send the guest off. Condensation Sword Wu Qi was extremely embarrassed. Wen Mist City was a second-tier city and also the city where the Xiaoxiang sword sect's influence was the most deeply rooted. Once Wen Mist City made this decision, it meant that the other cities would follow suit. After all, many pairs of eyes were watching, waiting for Wind Mist City's decision. Not all city lords were like Lan Yi, who could ignore the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Wait, Lan Yi suddenly spoke, causing Wu Qi to stop in his tracks. Swoosh! Wu Qi turned his head, his hope rekindled. For Brother Zhao's sake, I'll give you a suggestion. Lan Yi said indifferently, if there's no other way. Then, go find Blood Tower. In the forest, a figure shuttled through the forest like a painting, looking around. They seemed to have given up. Lin Feng felt that it was a pity. After the manifestation tribulation lightning, he went all out to fight. His strength was steadily increasing every day. After several months of closed-door cultivation in the Wicked Wind Hall, he was in urgent need of battles to stabilize his foundation and make a breakthrough. There was nothing to be merciful about. In other words, the Eastcom army wanted to take his life. There was no need to repay kindness with evil. In the long run, the calamity and mass extinction on Earth were caused by Nemo Star, so there was nothing to worry about. It's about time. As for those who have yet to make a breakthrough, they still need to cultivate bitterly. It's not something that can be achieved overnight. It's time to enter East Spirit City. Lin Feng nodded. It was almost time for the auction of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. The minimum requirement is a net worth of 10 million Nemo coins. Most of the rare treasures in the 33 continents come from the Nimmer realm. They only appear once a year. Auction. There might be some unexpected gains. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. Xiaoxiang sword sect. What? Condensation, Sword Wu Qi's eyes widened. Yes, second brother. Blood Tower clearly rejected it. The fifth sword of the Xiaoxiang 13 swords, Wu Chu frowned. Holding the flute with one hand, Wu Chu's figure was as graceful as water. She was very thin, and her voice was soft. This matter is unusual. Blood Tower rarely rejects missions. Blood Tower. It was a transcendent existence on the same level as the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, the Treasure Refining Sect, and the 8 Trigrams Palace. In Blood Tower, there was only one kind of person, bloodthirsty assassins. Unlike the righteous East Pole Palace, Blood Tower didn't care who they wanted to kill. They only cared about carrying out the mission. The mission entrusted by the client was verified and issued by Blood Tower. It was a normal step to inform bloodthirsty assassins to carry out the mission. But, at the second step, bloodthirsty assassins were cut in half. How is that possible? Condensation Sword Wu Qi was somewhat dazed. Blood Tower naturally wouldn't reject the mission because of Lin Feng's strength, even if he was a 10-stage expert, as long as the client could afford it. Blood Tower would accept the mission. The 10 major sects of the 33 continents all had Nemo experts. The super sects that were stronger than the 10 major sects had Nemo experts. And there was more than one. It said that Lin Feng has a Nemo expert's background. It seems that's true. Wu Chu's hand that was holding the flute moved. Impossible. Wu Qi's face was ashen. How can a Nemo expert allow his disciple to be hunted down? There's not even a shadow. Wu Chu shook her head and said, maybe this Nemo expert has something to hide. For example, he's hiding from his enemies. For example, he's seriously injured but has many friends. Blood Tower has to avoid him. Or, some Nemo experts are very strict with their disciples and see it as a training. There are too many possibilities. Compared to Condensation Sword Wu Qi, Wu Chu was more meticulous. I can't take this lying down. Wu Qi's face was ashen. The long sword in his hand was condensed into water droplets that were almost crystallized. Second brother, bear with it for now. This matter concerns the reputation of our Xiaoxiang sword sect. Let the sect master handle it. Wu Chu bowed slightly and waved the flute in her hand. Let's stop here. Fifth brother has something else to do. I'll take my leave first. Then, Wu Chu left. condensation, Sword Wu Qi was left with a gloomy expression. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Wu Qi gritted his teeth. The journey was smooth. Whoosh. Lin Feng galloped with a smile on his face. No one stopped me. I'm not used to it. Lin Feng tore through the air. Occasionally, he would meet some cultivators who were out to gain experience in the wilderness. Their gazes were mixed with admiration. Lin Feng was completely different from when he had just entered Dark Silent Star. 5th level Qi Cloud. Lin Feng's eyes widened slightly and the corner of his mouth rose. Every moment, the soul of the earth was improving. It was much faster than his own absorption. The Dragon Pearl chain was even more exaggerated. It absorbed the true dragon saint power effortlessly. Every time its huge capacity stopped, he could absorb it to the brim. Before reaching Dongling City, it can be upgraded to the 6th level. The 6th level of the true dragon saint power. It was comparable to the purest saint power of the Tribulation Thunder. The upgrade was not only related to the soul of the talent, but also the Thunder Dragon saint power. Every upgrade was a great breakthrough in strength, especially the strongest attack at the moment, the Dragon Pearl. It was a direct attack. Upgrading the true Dragon Saint power meant that the power of the Dragon Pearl would increase by another level. His trump cards were getting thicker and thicker. Without the pursuit of the Xiaoxiang sword sect, it's quite boring to just travel. Lin Feng smiled. In the past half a month, he had actually adapted to this kind of battle and tempering lifestyle. It was very exciting. His strength increased very quickly, and it made his blood boil. However, the Xiaoxiang sword sect should be terrified. Suddenly, as they sped along, Lin Feng looked into the distance. A familiar figure gradually entered his sight. Lin Feng slowed down. It's her? Chapter 481. She had big phoenix eyes and delicate skin. She was dressed in a blue outfit, but it could not hide her curvaceous figure. She was youthful and beautiful at the age of 16. Lin Feng recognized the girl in blue, even if it was just a glance. He had met her a few times, but every time, he would kill her. Blue Moon Clan girl. I didn't expect to meet her here. Is she also going to East Spirit City? A thought flashed through Lin Feng's mind. He did not kill her that day in Changyang Mountain City. After all, there was no enmity between them. She was also deceived by others, so there was no need to kill her. Those people are... Lin Feng's gaze fell on the two men beside the Blue Moon Clan girl, and his eyes widened slightly. They were not from the Blue Moon Clan, nor were they swordsmen from the Xiaoxiang sword sect. From their armor and aura, they should be ordinary Qi cloud stage warriors. The two men chatted with the Blue Moon Clan girl from time to time, and one of them would occasionally put his hand on her shoulder. The Blue Moon Clan girl seemed to be sobbing, and there was sadness in her eyes. The smell of blood. Now that he had a perfect body, Lin Feng's perception was quite strong. Two martial artists at the first level of the Qi cloud stage were in the palm of his hand. She is only at Qi cloud stage level 6, so it is impossible for her to travel alone. The two warriors should be hired guards. Lin Feng quickly judged that there were many similar missions in Changyang Mountain City. Passing through the wilderness and heading to other cities, as long as one was not so unlucky as to encounter strong demons. A martial artist at the first level of the Qi cloud stage can bring 2 to 3 people. She is a woman, but she has 2 Qi cloud stage warriors accompanying her. Lin Feng nodded. In other words, there were other Blue Moon clansmen traveling with her. Judging from the sorrow she exuded and the smell of blood, it seems that she was killed by the Blue Moon clansmen. Based on the smell of blood and the smell of blood, she should have just gone through a fierce battle. It had been several months since he killed Blue Silver Sword and Lan Pampa. Even if she was very sad at the time, it had faded by now. Swoosh! Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He looked deeply at the two men and the woman, and then his figure disappeared. Don't worry, little sister Xian Yen. We brothers will definitely send you to East Spirit City safely. The person who spoke was a horse-faced man. His small eyes squeezed out a smile as he placed his large hand on the shoulder of the Blue Moon Clan's girl, Lan Xinyan. That's right. Just now, there were too many beasts, and we couldn't take care of them. That's why we ended up in such a tragedy. The man on Lan Xinyan's left looked 90% similar to the horse-faced man. The two were twins, Zhong Kuei and Zhong Yin. Even their strength was exactly the same, neither high nor low. They were all on the first level of the Qi cloud stage. Yes, Lan Xinyan sobbed softly. Her tear-stained face had a unique charm to it. Zhong Mo and Zhong Yin stared blankly at her. Big brother Zhong Kuei glanced at Zhong Yin. Their eyes met, and there was no need for words. They both understood what was on each other's mind. It's getting dark. It's not safe to travel at night. Let's find a place to rest first, Zhong Di said. Yes, it's a good way to adjust my mood. Sigh, what a pity. Zhong Yin shook his head. He suddenly pointed ahead. There's a big mountain over there. There should be a cave. Come, let's go there. Lan Xinyan was also out of her wits. She could only nod. She was like a docile little lamb. She had just left her clan at the age of 16. How could she understand the dangers of the world? Lan Xinyan lowered her head. In the darkness of the night, the sneers on Zhong Kuei and Zhong Yin's faces, as well as the greed in their eyes, could not be seen. The hazy night filled the air. From time to time, the roars of demonic beasts could be heard in the forest. The entire mountain shook. Zhong Kuei, Zhong Yin, Lan Xinyan, and Zhong Kuei. They lit a fire and ate the cooked demonic beast meat. The air was filled with the crackling sound of sparks. It was easy to relax during a break. The two brothers, Zhong Kuei and Zhong Yin, began to tell stories that made them dizzy. Lan Xinyan blushed and lowered her head. She did not want to listen to these stories. However, Zhong Kuei and Zhong Yin were laughing happily. Lan Xinyan had no choice but to endure. Little did she know, her shyness made Zhong Kuei and Zhong Yin's fingers twitch even more. As the saying went, one's lust would be aroused when one was well-fed and warm. I say, little sister Xinyan, have you had that experience? Zhong Kuei suddenly asked. Lan Xinyan couldn't help but jump in fright. Her head drooped even lower, and her face turned red all the way to her neck. She didn't even dare to answer. She just kept shaking her head like a frightened little rabbit. The two brothers burst into laughter. Zhong Yin sneered. I think little sister Xinyan already has a lover. Yeah, where we come from, we're already married at the age of 16, Zhong Meng said. No, I don't. Lan Xinyan hastily raised her head. Her pink little face reflected the light of the fire. Her shyness and inexperience merged into one. Her skin was so tender that water could be squeezed out of it. Zhong Kuei and Zhong Yin's eyes lit up and their breathing quickened. At this moment, Lan Xinyan began to feel uneasy. She was young, but it did not mean that she was stupid. She could feel the male gaze, the beast-like heavy breathing, and the greed and desire. You too. Lan Xinyan grabbed her collar with her small hand. Her pretty face was pale. She unconsciously stepped back. However, there was no way out. Her back was the cave wall. Lan Xinyan's heart beat rapidly. Her delicate body trembled slightly. What's wrong with us? Zhong Kuei enjoyed this feeling and laughed heartily. Come, how can you not know anything at this age? Let me teach you. Zhong Yin squinted his eyes and rubbed his palms. He looked like a lecher. No, don't come over. Lan Xinyan's uneasiness instantly turned into reality. She bit her lips tightly. She was extremely embarrassed and angry. Just as she was about to draw her sword, she suddenly felt her body go numb. It was as if she had lost all her strength. Her entire body went limp. Instantly, fear appeared in her eyes. Can't speak. Zhong Kuei smiled and approached her. His small eyes were filled with lust. It seems like the medicine is working. Zhong Yin squinted his eyes and smiled. Don't resist, little beauty. Enjoy it. Who knows, you might even fall in love with us later. Zhong Yin snorted and looked at Zhong Kuei. His eyes were shining. Brother, let me go first. Zhong Kuei frowned. You went first last time, too. Zhong Yin laughed mischievously. It's because you're so strong. That's true. Zhong Kuei laughed heartily. He flattered Zhong Yin. Go, go, go. Hurry up. You only have a few moves anyway. Thank you, brother. Zhong Yin was overjoyed. He swallowed his saliva, and his chest rose and fell rapidly. His lecherous eyes shone as he looked at Lan Xinyan. He kept approaching her. Lan Xinyan's face was completely pale. Her delicate body trembled uncontrollably. She wanted to bite her tongue to commit suicide, but she didn't even have the strength to do so. A nauseating smell wafted into her nose. Lan Xinyan closed her eyes in despair. 2 clear lines of tears silently slid down her face. At this moment, screech! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out, suddenly exploding in this small and narrow cave. Chapter 482. Bang! Lan Xinyan was stunned. She felt a trace of blood splatter on her face. A pebble had sunk into the stone wall beside her face. That hideous face appeared in front of her. The lustful look in his eyes turned into shock and fear. His throat was ruptured. He reached out as if he wanted to grab something, but he could no longer do so. Little brother. The sudden scene made Zhong Di completely stunned. A small pebble had effortlessly killed his brother. Who? Who is it? Zhong Pai's legs were trembling. His entire body was soaked in sweat. His spine was cold. He frantically turned his head and locked his gaze on the entrance of the cave. Not far away, a figure gradually entered his vision. Zhong Pai felt his face turn pale. He was suffocating. He was not the only one who was suffocating. Lan Xinyan was suffocating too. After going from hell to heaven and back to hell, Lan Xinyan, who had been given a new lease on life, thought that she had met a good person and was overjoyed. However, when she saw the person who had come, her smile froze like an ice sculpture. She would never forget this face. Evil demon, Lin Feng. He was a terrifying evil demon wanted by the entire Xiaoxiang sword sect. He had killed countless people, and his hands were stained with blood. At that moment, she even imagined that the person who saved her was a prince on a white horse, an elegant gentleman. However, Lin Feng's appearance instantly shattered the young girl's fantasy like a mirror. How could it be him? This can't be real. Lan Xinyan was on the verge of breaking down. Her body was cold. She did not know what was waiting for her. She had just escaped the wolf's den, and now she was in the tiger's den. Moreover, it was the great evil demon who hated her and the Blue Moon clan. Senior, please spare my life. Zhong Pai knelt on the ground. Tears and snot flowed down his face. A wise man submits to circumstances. Although he did not know Lin Feng's identity, his strength was far beyond his imagination. Senior, things are not what you think. What happened just now was just a misunderstanding. Oh, Lin Feng smiled indifferently. Zhong Pai's eyes brightened. He gritted his teeth and said, Senior, I won't hide it from you. My Zhong clan was once harmed by the Blue Moon clan. My parents died tragically in the hands of the Blue Moon clan. Therefore, we hate the Blue Moon clan to the core. It's also because of the depression in my heart. Lan Xinyan's eyes widened. If she could speak, she would be cursing out loud right now. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone this shameless. Really? Lin Feng smiled. He looked at Lan Xinyan and said softly, Actually, I also have an irreconcilable grudge with the Blue Moon clan. That day, I was forced into a corner by the Blue Moon clan and almost died in the Jinglan mountain range. Zhong Yimou was startled when he heard this. Was this for real? He glanced at Lan Xinyan and saw the complicated look in her eyes. Zhong Di's eyes lit up. He was overjoyed. Yes, yes, yes. The Blue Moon clan is bullying us. He has committed a heinous crime and should be executed. Lin Feng smiled. His smile suddenly turned ice cold. Looking at Zhong Di, a white light flashed in Lin Feng's hand, and the holy chi of light gathered in an instant. But you deserve to die more than them. Chi, profound meaning piercing light. The holy light chi streaked across Zhong Di's throat, and all his defenses were useless. Zhong Ming's eyes widened in shock. Even in death, he didn't know that this senior had a deep grudge against the Blue Moon clan. Why did he suddenly want to kill him? Scum. Lin Feng sighed softly. To be honest, most of the memories that the humans on the Nemo planet left him were bad. They were selfish and would do anything to achieve their goals. However, he couldn't deny that there were some humans with good characters on the Nemo planet. For example, Lu Qiyun, Lu Yi, and the others from the Green Sword clan and Commander Li Han, whom he met in Changyang Mountain City. Kai and I, Wang Shun, and the others. There were many things and many people that couldn't be ruled out. For example, the young lady from the Blue Moon clan in front of him. Strictly speaking, the hatred between him and her, it was all a misunderstanding. He saved her. It wasn't his intention, but he saw some things. He couldn't pretend that he didn't see it, because he couldn't live with his conscience. Slap! Lin Feng grabbed Lan Xinyan's soft right hand. In an instant, Lan Xinyan's phoenix eyes widened. She couldn't react in time and instantly closed her eyes in despair. When she thought about how she was about to be killed by a demon, Lan Xinyan only wanted to kill herself to avoid the humiliation. However, she didn't have any strength. Extreme despair made her lose the courage to live. Tears streamed down her face like a silent protest. Time slowed down. Lan Xinyan felt like a year. However, she suddenly realized that the demon Lin Feng didn't seem to be doing anything else other than holding her wrist. Lan Xinyan opened her eyes in confusion. She saw that the demon Lin Feng's face was serious and solemn. He wasn't like the Zhong brothers, who were greedy and lustful. In fact, he wasn't even looking at her. What was this? Qi. When Lan Xinyan came back to her senses, she felt an unusually large amount of energy flowing into her meridians. Lan Xinyan's face turned pale, and her body trembled. What was he doing? Soon swoosh. Lin Feng stood up. He used a bit of his true sacred power to remove the medicine from Lan Xinyan's body. It's done, Lin Feng said. Lan Xinyan was slightly taken aback before she came to a realization. She moved her arm, and her pale face revealed a look of surprise. She was in disbelief. Lin Feng ignored her and walked to the fire. He took out some raw demon beast meat and began roasting it. How nostalgic, Lin Feng sniffed. Thinking about it, he hadn't eaten for more than half a month. After advancing to a perfect body, his body was like fasting. Just absorbing energy was enough to maintain his body's circulation. However, there was no harm in eating. At the very least, it was a form of enjoyment. He was in a dilemma. At that moment, Lan Xinyan was in a dilemma. She couldn't sit, stand, stay, or leave. She felt like thousands of ants were crawling on her body. She felt uneasy and her heart was in turmoil. Lan Xinyan didn't know how to face him, much less what he was up to. However, there was one thing she was certain of. The demon Lin Feng in front of her. His strength was too terrifying. Lan Xinyan didn't even have any thoughts of revenge. She was like a mouse that had seen a cat. No matter how great her hatred was, she couldn't muster any killing intent when she saw him, much less just now. Lin Feng had even saved her. To a woman, nothing was more important than chastity. Lan Xinyan hesitated for a long time before asking softly, "Why did you save me?" Lin Feng took a bite of the demon beast meat and casually said, "It's fine if I don't see something that infuriates both humans and gods. But if I do, I naturally can't tolerate it." But Lan Xinyan hesitated for a long time, unable to say the words. "But are you my enemy?" Lin Feng looked at Lan Xinyan and saw a puzzled look in her large phoenix eyes. He smiled faintly and said, "If I say, it was just a misunderstanding back then. I didn't kill your brother Han Liang, nor did I kill the daughter of the blue-silver sword, Ji Ro. Would you believe me?" Lan Xinyan's mouth opened slightly as she looked at Lin Feng in a daze. Back then, Lin Feng had said that, but no one believed him, including her. That was because the evidence was conclusive. Yet he still said that. Lan Xinyan's heart inexplicably wavered. Chapter 483. I don't believe you. Lan Xinyan still shook her head. Lan Xinyan bit her lips. In fact, she was starting to believe Lin Feng's words. After all, Lin Feng had no reason to lie to her. Lin Feng smiled. "It doesn't matter to me whether you believe me or not." Lan Xinyan's eyes flashed. "Is it because my life is in your hands?" "No." Lin Feng shook his head. "If I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have saved you." Looking at Lan Xinyan, Lin Feng said indifferently, "If I wanted revenge, I could raze the entire Blue Moon clan to the ground, let alone you. In the past half a month, I've killed more than 20 fetus weak experts and more than 2,000 chi cloud experts. Do you think I care about the Blue Moon clan? Lin Feng said indifferently. Lan Xinyan's heart stopped beating like a sudden clap of thunder. She only knew that Xiaoxiang's sword had issued a Xiaoxiang arrest order with a bounty of 5 million Nemo dollars for Lin Feng's head. After all, this was the hottest topic in Chanyang Mountain City. However, she did not know how strong the people who were pursuing Lin Feng were. 20 fetus weak experts and more than 2,000 chi cloud experts. Lan Xinyan was dumbfounded when she heard this number. The Blue Moon clan only had 8 chi cloud experts. The strongest was clan leader Lan Yu, who was at the 9th level of chi cloud. You're lying, Lan Xinyan whispered, because even she didn't have the confidence to say this. Lin Feng smiled. He didn't say anything else. Whether she believed him or not, it didn't matter to him. Comfortable, Lin Feng stood up, satisfied. Looking at the pile of bones in front of him, he smiled. He didn't feel full. He could eat as much as he wanted. Eating could turn into energy, but compared to the energy of heaven and earth, it was nothing. To him, eating more was a feeling, the feeling of being human. After reaching the perfect body, he felt otherworldly, as if he was detached from the world. You're a demon? Lan Xinyan shrank into a corner in fear. She looked at Lin Feng as if he was a monster. Lin Feng was stunned. He suddenly understood that the demon race relied on eating meat and drinking blood to increase their battle strength. The amount of demonic beast meat she had just eaten was far more than what a normal person would eat. The Blue Moon clan girl thought so. It was no wonder. Do you think I look like one? Lin Feng laughed. Lan Xinyan was a little hesitant. She nodded, but then shook her head. Lin Feng smiled in a carefree manner. He did not explain as he turned around and left the cave. I'm leaving. Take care of yourself. Lan Xinyan was stunned. She suddenly thought of something and hurriedly stood up with a pale face. Wait a minute. Wait for me. Lin Feng stopped and looked at the girl from the Blue Moon clan. Under the illumination of the fire, the Blue Moon clan girl stumbled over. His pale face was filled with fear as he looked at Yi Qingyu with the same fear. Is there anything else? Lin Feng asked. Lan Xinyan lowered her head and muttered, If we travel at night, we might be ambushed by demon beasts. They won't dare to ambush me, Lin Feng said. Demonic beasts had better foresight than humans. They knew who was stronger and who was weaker. A demonic beast king ambushed them? Even if there were 1,000 or 10,000 of them, it would be useless. Lan Xinyan gasped softly. She suddenly remembered how Lin Feng had killed the Zhong brothers. She suddenly understood. She gritted her teeth as if she had made up her mind. She raised her head and looked at Yi Qingyu. Then, can you take me with you? So that's how it is. Lin Feng instantly understood. It made sense. If he left a girl at the 6th level of the Qi revolving realm in the deep mountains, she would not be able to return to the city alive unless she was extremely lucky. Aren't you afraid that I'm a demon? Lin Feng teased. I am, Lan Xinyan whispered. She secretly glanced at Lin Feng. But you don't look like a bad person. Lin Feng did not know whether to laugh or cry. This was a new evaluation. He glanced at the pitiful girl from the Blue Moon clan. His heart was not made of iron. Lin Feng asked, Where are you going? Lan Xinyan's eyes brightened. She revealed a surprised smile and lowered her head. She whispered, I'm going to East Spirit City. But if it's not convenient for you, you can send me to any of the nearby cities. Lin Feng smiled. Let's go. He did not say anything else and walked out of the cave. Lan Xinyan was overjoyed. She clenched her small fists tightly. She saw hope. Whoosh! Lin Feng sped through the air. He was so fast that Lan Xinyan, who was following behind him, was shocked. At first, Lan Xinyan was a little afraid as she stood on the sacred scale flying sword. She felt as if she would fall at any moment. His speed was too fast. At first, she could not even open her eyes. He was more than 10 times faster than her full speed. She could only hear the wind, but she could not see him. However, she gradually got used to it. Lan Xinyan hesitated for a long time before asking, Are you a legendary Nemo expert? Lin Feng replied indifferently. If I were a Nemo expert, I wouldn't have been forced into a corner by your Blue Moon clan back then and nearly died. Lan Xinyan nodded and asked curiously, then, how do you know how to fly? I can fly by controlling it with my sacred powers. Lin Feng answered casually. In fact, the sacred scale flying sword under Lan Xinyan's feet was controlled by him using his sacred powers. It was originally his flying sword, but after advancing to a perfect body, it was no longer of much use. Sacred powers. Lan Xinyan muttered softly, but she knew nothing about it. After all, she came from a clan. She didn't have much experience. There really aren't any demon beasts, said Lan Xinyan in surprise. There aren't any demon beasts, only humans. Lin Feng said, if it were a few days ago, I wouldn't have been able to bring you along even if I wanted to. There were people from the Eastcom army and the Xiaoxiang sword sect everywhere. Are you alone? Lan Xinyan asked. She was becoming more and more familiar with Lin Feng. In fact, Lan Xinyan's impression of Lin Feng had long changed. No matter what, it was all thanks to Lin Feng's help that her chastity was preserved. To a girl, this was more important than her life. Yes, we killed too many. They had no choice but to retreat. Lin Feng spoke casually, but Lan Xinyan knew that there would definitely be bloody battles in the coming days. The Xiaoxiang sword sect and the Eastcom army were all major human factions. How could they retreat so easily? Although Lan Xinyan was young, she wasn't stupid. She recalled the battle results Lin Feng had previously told her about. She believed him by 90%. Just this unbelievable flight was an eye-opener for her. Ordinary warriors couldn't do it all. By the way, what's the blue moon on your forehead? Asked Lin Feng. This is the bloodline symbol of our Blue Moon clan, said Lan Xinyan. It will accompany us as we grow, increasing our strength and cultivation level. It's often easy for us Blue Moon clan to comprehend the Tao of water. We cultivate very quickly because of this. Bloodline. Lin Feng was enlightened. Lan Xinyan continued. I heard from Grandpa clan leader that most humans will only awaken their bloodline powers when they cultivate to the Nemo realm. Nemo realm experts awaken their bloodline powers? Lin Feng thought for a moment before frowning. Most humans? So what you're saying is every Nemo expert has a bloodline power? Yes. Lan Xinyan nodded. Not Nemo realm experts. I heard from Grandpa that they are perfect bodies. Yes, one will awaken their bloodline powers when they cultivate to the perfect body realm. Perfect body. Awaken their bloodline powers. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat as his eyes lit up. Chapter 484. Perfect body. Lin Feng knew very well that it was 100% mind expanse. The activation of the human body's password. What's a bloodline power? Lin Feng asked. Since it concerned him, he had to understand it clearly. If Lan Xinyan said that every perfect body human would awaken a bloodline power, then had he awakened it? I heard from Grandpa that many of our human ancestors have bloodline powers at birth. As long as they reach adulthood, they will fully awaken their bloodline powers, said Lan Xinyan. In our generation, our bloodline has become somewhat weak. Therefore, we have to wait until we reach a perfect body before we awaken our bloodline powers. Second-generation humans. Lin Feng naturally knew who the human ancestors Lan Xinyan was referring to were. When they reached adulthood, they would have 100% mind expanse. The ancestors of Planet Nemo's humans were also the ancestors of Earth's humans. 8's senior brother was one of them. Lan Xinyan seemed to have found a topic to talk about. Our Blue Moon clan's bloodline is more closely related to the Tao of water. Some bloodlines are related to the Tao of wood, Tao of light, Tao of earth, and so on. There are also some bloodlines that, after awakening, can make a person smarter, stronger, faster, and more sensitive. Grandpa said that the bloodline of our human ancestors was bestowed by God. I heard that there are also four-handed Nemo experts and two-headed weirdos. Many Nemo experts have their bloodlines awaken the moment they are born. They have the body of light, the body of purple fire, and the body of lightning decimation. They don't need to cultivate much to attain a perfect body. How envious! Lan Xinyan muttered. The speaker didn't mean it, but the listener did. To Lin Feng, It was undoubtedly like a heavy bomb falling one after another. For hands? Two heads? After the bloodline awakening, one would have greater strength and run faster? I don't think my bloodline has awakened. Lin Feng carefully checked his body and didn't find anything special. Previously, his advancement to a perfect body had been smooth sailing. His strength had indeed increased greatly, but he didn't match any of the bloodline characteristics Lan Xinyan mentioned. That's true. Strictly speaking, the humans on Nemo planet are still second-generation humans. It's just that their bloodline is a little thin. But I'm already a third-generation human being. Based on Earth's technology, my genes have completely changed. Lin Feng pondered, including my cultivation method and that of the humans on Nemo planet. There's also a big difference. There was nothing to be envious about. If there was, there would be. If there wasn't, then there was. However, lightning slaughter physique. Lin Feng's heart stirred. He wasn't sure about the other bloodlines, but he was very familiar with the lightning slaughter physique. Xiang Yu the Overlord. Innate lightning slaughter physique. Senior Xiang Yu is also a third-generation human. He's still far from a perfect body, but he has also awakened his bloodline power. Therefore, Lin Feng frowned slightly. Third-generation humans should be able to awaken their bloodline power. The third generation of humans and the second generation of humans have always been connected. If the humans of Nemo Star were compared to the second generation of humans, then they would be much stronger than the second generation. The bloodline concentration was 1/10, 1/100. The third generation of humans might be 1 in 10,000 or 1 in a billion. Maybe. It's hidden in the deepest part of my body. Lin Feng smiled and didn't care too much. If there's a chance, I'll ask senior brother Xin Yuan. He should know best. Bloodline power. If there is, that would be great, Lin Feng thought to himself. They traveled at full speed. Although he was carrying Lan Xinyan, Lin Feng's speed wasn't slowed down. It consumed a little of the true Dragon Saint power. It was nothing to him now. The absorption speed of the Dragon Pearl necklace was much faster than the consumption of the true Dragon Saint power. Lin Feng didn't slack on his cultivation as they traveled. With little Yun's extreme body absorbing and cultivating the soul of the earth, it was comparable to a fully awakened bloodline. The talent's soul, true Dragon Saint power, was automatically absorbed by the Dragon Pearl necklace. It grew slowly, just as Lin Feng expected, before they reached Dongling City. 6th level. Lin Feng smiled in satisfaction. His true Dragon Saint power had successfully reached the 6th level. Compared to the cultivation of the Thunder Dragon Saint Chi, which was 1 grade higher than the Thunder Dragon Saint Chi, it was much slower. The purity was different. Lin Feng had experience with the lightning tribulation, so he knew very well. Above the first level of Saint Chi, there were higher levels of Saint Chi or Saint power, such as the lightning tribulation energy, the true Dragon Saint power, and the true I Saint power. They could be called unparalleled Saint Chi and unparalleled Saint power. Whoosh, the golden dragon sword. The true dragon embryo star grew and expanded, and the Saint power became pure. At this speed, it will grow to a child star at the 7th level. Lin Feng thought to himself. Among all the Saint Chi and Saint power, he had the strongest potential, and the highest grade was the true Dragon Saint power. He was almost 100% sure that it would grow to a child star at the 7th level. It wouldn't take too much effort. The 6th level of the true Dragon Saint power. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. He was like the general of an army. The true Dragon Saint power increased again and again, bringing him an all-round improvement in strength. Outside Dongling City. Second brother, it's not safe, Wu Chu advised, holding a flute. Then what do you think we should do? 8th brother, 9th brother, and 11th brother died for nothing? Condensation, Sword Wu Chi's eyes were cold. 5th brother, I know you have always been cautious and think before you act. However, there are many things that can be done quickly. If you miss the opportunity, you won't get it again. Wu Chu's voice was as delicate as water. Even if he enters the city, we can think of a way to deal with him. Wu Chi smiled coldly. If he joins the treasure refining sect, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, or the East Pole Palace for self-protection. How are we going to deal with them? In a few days, the treasure refining sect will publicly recruit disciples. There's also the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. You know that Lin Feng and President Liu Yu have a close relationship. Wu Chu pursed her lips and remained silent. Second brother Wu Qi was right. No matter how powerful the Xiaoxiang sword sect was, it was only in the vicinity of Changyang Mountain City. It didn't have a base in Dongling City and had little influence. Even the sect master, Xiao Tsong, was only at the 9th level of the embryonic week. He was indeed a powerhouse in the Eastcom continent, but in East Spirit City, there were plenty of Zizhou experts. It was a true first-tier city. To put it simply, in Changyang Mountain City, the city lord and the Eastcom army had to give the Xiaoxiang sword sect face. But here, the Eastcom army completely ignored them. I've made up my mind. Water droplets condensed on the sword in Wu Qi's hand as his killing intent gradually revealed itself. I've carefully studied it. The strongest person Lin Feng killed along the way was at the 4th level of the embryonic week. This time, the Eastcom army mobilized many embryonic week 5th and 6th stage experts. Although they failed to capture Lin Feng, they weren't killed by him either. Therefore, I estimate his strength about the 5th level of the embryonic week 5th stage. Wu Qi's eyes lit up as he was filled with confidence. I'm not afraid of anyone at the same level. Besides, there are other disciples of the Xiaoxiang sword sect. As long as he dares to come to Dongling City, I'll definitely make it impossible for him to escape. I won't allow him to step into Dongling City's protected area. Kill him. Chapter 485. Swish. Lin Feng tore through the air. As his gaze swept across the area below, he saw more and more martial artists. Originally, if he wanted to go to East Spirit City, he would still need to ask for directions. However, there was no need for that now. Following the direction of the martial warriors, he knew that they would definitely be heading towards East Spirit City. However, the large number of people still surprised Lin Feng. This is indeed a first-tier city. There are so many cultivators. It just so happens that it's the beginning of the year, so there are a lot of people. Lan Xinyan faced Lin Feng. She no longer felt restrained. Time reveals a person's heart. Whether he was a good person or a bad person, it would naturally be clear after interacting with him. Lan Xinyan believed that her appearance and figure were all top-notch. She was the most beautiful woman in the Blue Moon clan. She was even more beautiful than Ji Ro, who was killed by Demon Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng remained unmoved. Under normal circumstances, there was no doubt that this was contradictory. Lin Feng lightly nodded. I heard that the Treasure Refining School is publicly recruiting disciples. There is also the Killing Sword Palace. Lan Xinyan looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression. Originally, I wanted to join the Killing Sword Palace. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Their eyes met, and Lin Feng instantly understood from Lan Xinyan's gaze. With hatred comes motivation. Actually, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially since your personality is too gentle and you lack drive. Having a goal to strive for will allow your cultivation to improve faster. Lan Xinyan's personality was too gentle. If she was an unyielding woman, how could she believe him so easily? She wanted to join the Slaying Sword Palace, the top sect in the Eastcom continent. Her original purpose was to take revenge and kill Yi Futian. But now, she was hesitating. But Lan Xinyan hesitated. At this moment, Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. His body suddenly came to a stop as he changed directions. His gaze fell downwards. They're here. Them. Lan Xinyan was stunned. Xiaoxiang Sword Sect. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. One of them is at the 5 fetus realm, while the other is at the 6 fetus realm. The dragon's sea pearl necklace wantonly absorbed the true dragon Saint Force. In Lin Feng's sea of consciousness, the golden dragon roared, and the 6th level of Saint Force overflowed. 5th stage embryo, Senior Congealing Water Sword Wu Qi, fetus Saturday rank. It must be Senior Wu Chu. Lan Xinyan's eyes shone brightly. He cultivated the Tao of Water. Lan Xinyan had admired the Xiaoxiang 13 swords for a long time. Congealing Water Sword Wu Qi, The song ends, and the people scatter. Lin Feng suddenly smiled. Looking at the two people below, they seemed to fit the description. "Wait for me here," Lin Feng said. Before Lan Xinyan could regain her senses, Lin Feng had already turned into a beam of light and rushed down. Killing intent filled the air. A group of 100 people, with congealing sword Wu Qi leading the way, their target was Lin Feng. In the Xiaoxiang, 13 swords. Although Wu Qi was the second brother, he was only ranked 4th because he had entered the sect earlier. His 5th brother, Wu Chu, was stronger than him and ranked 3rd. There were 7 Xiaoxiang sword sect disciples in the Fetus Week group. The rest were at the Qi Cloud stage. This formation was even stronger than a platoon of the East Com army. "Surround him. Don't let him escape." Congealing water, sword Wu Qi shouted as he locked onto Lin Feng. He wasn't afraid if he was alone. Now that he had Wu Chu's help, he was even more determined to succeed. The Xiaoxiang sword sect had connections in East Spirit City, but they couldn't summon the wind and rain. Once Lin Feng stepped into East Spirit City's protected area, no matter how domineering the Xiaoxiang sword sect was, they wouldn't dare openly defy East Spirit City's rules. However, Lin Feng had never thought of running. He had dared to face the Xiaoxiang sword sect head-on the moment he left Changyang Mountain City. After the Tribulation Lightning, he even killed the East Com Army's 100-man platoon. Now that his strength had improved greatly, why would he care about the 100-man platoon from the Xiaoxiang sword sect? Compared to the East Com Army, the Xiaoxiang sword sect only had a few more Fetus Week warriors. Titanium grade, 5th stage. Lin Feng condensed silver armor all over his body. He didn't use the 6th stage. After all, the consumption of titanium was intense. Furthermore, his body had to bear a huge burden. Now that he was at the 5th stage of the Qi Cloud stage, his body's toughness was comparable to an ordinary Fetus Week 1st stage expert. With the enhancement of the 5th stage of the titanium grade, he was comparable to a Fetus Week 1st stage expert. He used a light profundity, and his speed was off the charts. So fast, Wu Qi's expression changed. Behind him, Wu Chu's eyes lit up when the song ended. He placed a flute by his mouth and began playing the Xiaoxiang Night Song. The sound went from low to high as the notes entered Lin Feng's ears. Every melody was like a sharp awl piercing into his sea of consciousness. Boom! Behind Lin Feng, a golden dragon roared and soared into the sky. Wu Chu's expression changed. His musical attack was mixed with the profundity of water. It was gentle and exquisite as it targeted the weakness of Planet Nemo's humans, their innate souls. However, Lin Feng was like a dragon in the water. He was extremely ferocious. The musical attack was like swords stabbing into thick scales. They were all useless. Damn it! Wu Chu instantly changed the style of his song. The gentle melody became extremely high-pitched. When the song ended and the people dispersed, there was a mystery behind it. But soul-severing four-color square, Azure Dragon, Lin Feng counterattacked. Mixed with the strongest green light, the innate soul attacked Wu Chu. Although the soul-severing four-color square was only a human-grade sacred treasure, the 6th-stage True Dragon Saint power was definitely the top power of the Fetus Week. Boom! The Azure Dragon roared. At the same time, the 9 Underworld Thunderblade in Lin Feng's hand stirred up violent lightning. Thunder Dragon Scripture, 3rd stage. The sleeping dragon in his body was awakened. Lightning circled. The Thunder Dragon Saint power had reached the Fetus Star and could be cultivated to the 4th stage. However, Lin Feng hadn't found the time yet. Even so, the power of the 3rd stage of the Thunder Dragon Scripture was already comparable to the 5th stage. It was the strongest power that only the Fetus Week could unleash. Because of the True Dragon Saint power, the 5th stage True Dragon Saint power could increase the power of the Thunder Dragon Scripture by 50 times. 6th stage, 100-fold increase. Purple Thunder 9 Strike. Lin Feng made his move. He didn't need to use the 9 Underworld Thunderblade to carve. Just the 6th stage Thunder Dragon Saint power of the Nestling Star was far more powerful. Including the later cultivation, he didn't need the help of the 1st grade Thunder Saint crystal. With the improvement of his talent, and the help of the true dragon Saint Power. Just the cultivation of the thunder dragon scripture alone was far more powerful. Elementary, profound meaning, dark devour. Condensing on the blade, the dark and thunder, Saint Chi separated. Lin Feng's ninth strike of the purple thunder scripture hadn't reached the true perfect fusion of profound meanings. Even so, its power couldn't be underestimated. Xiaoxiang's ninth sword. Condensation sword Wu Qi's sword pierced through the air, creating droplets of water that froze in the air. Instantly, the water droplets condensed as if its power was condensed, directly exploding. The name condensation sword wasn't undeserved. Wu Qi's sword technique was exquisite. His 10th realm cultivation was even higher than Lin Feng's. But boom! Like thunder, Lin Feng's sword technique was unreasonable. Relying on the power of his Saint Chi, he directly destroyed the water defense. A crazy dark devour power swallowed the water droplets' energy. Lin Feng's attack was strong and fierce. Condensation sword Wu Qi's face paled. The Xiaoxiang sword sect disciples behind him widened their eyes as they saw the water barrier instantly shatter. Poof! Boom! Dark flames enveloped Wu Qi's body. Blood splattered everywhere. Amidst the roar, a powerful thunder dragon spiraled with thunder and lightning soared into the sky. Wherever the sword struck, it was invincible. Wu Qi died tragically. Chapter 486. Everyone was shocked, especially Lan Xinyan, who was in the air. Her eyes widened. In the next instant, Wu Qi's face turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Even though he had a holy treasure that could defend his soul and had an extraordinary cultivation level, he was still injured by Lin Feng's attack. Looking at Lin Feng in shock, Wu Qi retreated. But how could Lin Feng, given the chance? Lightning flashed from the nine nether thunder saber. Thunder hell. Boom, boom, boom. The group attack saber move had gained its profundity. Lin Feng had the best grasp of the profundity of thunder in the first 7 strikes of the purple lightning. Firstly, the profundity was the simplest, and secondly, it had the widest range of applications. The first strike was a quick single-target attack, the second was a defensive move, and the third was a group attack. It was effortless. Lightning snakes blasted toward the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect's 100-man team. Instantly, Saint Chi collided and screams rang out. It was like this every time he killed the Eastcom army. Few Chi Cloud cultivators could withstand the thunder hell. The lightning dragon spiraled out, and lightning flashed. Lin Feng was like a tiger in a flock of sheep as he started a massacre. His target was Wu Qi, who had scattered after the song ended. Look, isn't that the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect? Wow, who is that? He's so powerful. 1 against 100? Lunatic, he's definitely a lunatic. Lunatic my foot. He must be an expert on the Glorious Stars list. The Xiaoxiang Sword Sect is too unlucky. This place was rather close to Dongling City. The battle between Lin Feng and the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect was not a small fight. The intense shockwaves attracted the attention of the Dongling City cultivators in front. Even the city guards in charge of guarding the city gates rushed over. But most of them were there to watch the show. After all, this was not a no-fighting zone. They were fighting outside the city in the wilderness. Dongling City would not care. It was extremely tragic. The smell of blood was very pungent. Less than 1/10 of the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect's 100-man team was left. They could barely block Lin Feng's first attack, but they could not block the second or third. Lin Feng's body was like a mirage. Wherever the light touched, there would be a splash of blood. The sky was like a rain of blood. Spring thunderstorm. Lin Feng's saber was simple but effective. In just an instant, the swordsmen of the Xiaoxiang Sword Sect were all beheaded and died without a burial place. Only the strongest Wu Qi was left. He was like a defeated rooster with blood stains on the corner of his mouth. He looked at Lin Feng with a helpless gaze. Amazing, truly amazing. Lan Xinyan was completely dumbfounded by what she saw. Her pretty face lit up as she watched Lin Feng fight a bloody battle against the Xiaoxiang Sword School. In the blink of an eye, the Xiaoxiang 13 swords led the team of cultivators. Then they were all killed. She recalled what Lin Feng had said to her in the cave. At that time, She thought that Lin Feng was lying and exaggerating, but now he was ridiculously wrong. Congealing water sword, Wu Qi. When the song ends, the people scatter. The Xiaoxiang 13 swords is so weak, Lan Xinyan murmured. It wasn't that they were weak. Lan Xinyan knew that it was because Lin Feng was too strong. He was so strong that he could instantly kill congealing water sword, Wu Qi. He had severely injured Wu Chu, who was at the embryonic 6th stage, with one strike. There was only one saber left. Qi. Lin Feng's 9 underworld thunder saber descended. Being merciful to one's enemy was being cruel to oneself. Murderous intent flashed across Lin Feng's eyes. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly. A huge water dragon blasted toward him from afar. The attack forced him to retreat. The power of the water dragon was more than 10 times stronger than Wu Qi's attack. An expert, a true expert had arrived. Spring thunderstorm. Lin Feng did not block and counterattacked. He wanted to test the opponent's strength. He held the saber in his right hand and gave up on Wu Chu. However, his left hand lit up with waves of cold light. It was formed by the true dragon's same power. The congealing flood dragon scales flashed with cold light and killed the defenseless Wu Chu. Lin Feng would not give him any chance to escape. He released the tiger back to the mountain. Fifth brother. Wu Chu roared furiously. The water dragon became even more ferocious. Lin Feng's eyes trembled. Obviously, the opponent was one of the Xiaoxiang 13 swords. Boom! The strength of the water dragon carried a spiraling force. The sword energy was incomparably ferocious. It was rarely seen. The profound intent merged within and reached perfection. It was a sword technique on the same level as the 7 purple lightning strikes. Lin Feng groaned. His arm went numb, and he was immediately forced to retreat. The opponent's strength was at the 8th level of fetus Zhou. Qi. Another ray of sword light condensed the water into a light sword. Every time, the sound was extremely ear-piercing. For light, swords spun rapidly, following closely behind the water dragon. Their attacking methods were quite sharp. If one was not careful, they would be ambushed. Sky-spinning thunder. Lin Feng had just been forced back. The distance between them increased, and he gained time to defend. The lightning dragon formed the power of a whirlpool. The whirlpool was indescribably deep in his heart. It was as if he could see the mysterious black whirlpool in the wisdom spirit. His defensive power rose and directly turned the 4 light swords into nothingness. Lin Feng's heart trembled. It's here again. It appeared when I comprehended Dark Devour. Twice. The first time was when he comprehended Dark Devour. The second time was when he comprehended the 2nd purple lightning strike. What exactly is this? Lin Feng's heart was filled with doubts. The strange black whirlpool in the wisdom spirit was deep and mysterious. He still did not know its composition. The only thing he knew was that it could activate the battle strength of an overlord and unleash the power of blade. Whoosh! The blade rose and the person retreated. Lin Feng leaped backward and landed on the ground. Pa! Ta! Opposite him, 2 figures appeared. One of them was majestic and powerful. His eyes burned with anger. The battle blade in his hand was engraved with dragon patterns. His aura was the strongest. The first of the Xiaoxiang 13 swords, the water dragon sword he long. Lin Feng had already learned about the Xiaoxiang 13 swords from Lan Xinyan. Not only was he long ranked first, but he was also the strongest. He was at the 8th level of fetus Zhou, second only to the sect master, Shao Kahn. He was the one who had launched the water dragon attack to save Wu Chu. As for the other, the third of the Xiaoxiang 13 swords, the water light sword Xing Zijua. Lin Feng looked at the thin man in white. His eyes shone brightly. One look, and one could tell that he was not easy to deal with. He was rather cunning. The attack just now was enough to show how sinister his methods were. The 7th level of fetus Zhou. The 2 of them were the strongest of the Xiaoxiang 13 swords. Phew! Lin Feng sighed softly. His expression was solemn. With his strength, he had a 90% chance of winning against Xing Zijua, who was at the 7th level of fetus Zhou. Against the strongest water dragon sword, he had a 50% chance of winning. However, if the two of them worked together, it would be very difficult to deal with them. The most troublesome thing was that once he was entangled, he would be in great danger. The Xiaoxiang sword sect did not only have the Xiaoxiang 13 swords. Once the sect master, Xiao Tsong, arrived, it would be harder for him to escape. A fierce battle. Lin Feng shivered inwardly. However, he was not afraid at all. What kind of danger had he not encountered? If this was not considered a situation where he had a slim chance of survival, then what was this? It was just a battle to his heart's content. Suddenly, swoosh, Lin Feng's expression changed. A tyrannical aura descended in an instant. The lofty pressure made all the martial artists present look down on them with disdain. Expert Zijua. Lin Feng's gaze was cold. To be continued. Chapter 487. Lin Feng didn't move. It was irrational to act casually. He quickly scanned the surroundings, looking for any loopholes, terrain, or opportunities that he could exploit. He had to prepare for a rainy day. He knew very well what would happen if a Zizhou expert appeared. There were too many possibilities. Although Xiao Tsong, the sect master of the Xiaoxiang sword sect, was only at stage 9, it didn't mean that he had no friends or backers. In particular, this Zizhou expert appeared right after the water dragon sword He Long and the water light sword Xing Zijua. He came at the right time. However, it was only one possibility. Clap, clap. Lin Feng quickly glanced at He Long and Xing Zijua's expressions. He saw that the water dragon sword He Long was still furious and was suppressing his murderous intent. The water light sword Xing Zijua's expression changed, and he stood still. Oh, Lin Feng was tempted. Good saber technique. What pure holy lightning chi. Little brother, are you from the Thunder Saber sect? A voice sounded nearby, causing an uproar. Martial artists who practice saber techniques naturally knew about the Thunder Saber sect. It was the third-ranked saber sect in the 33 continents. The water dragon sword He Long snorted, his expression still cold. The water light sword Xing Zijua turned slightly and bowed respectfully. Lord Hong. The surrounding people gasped when they heard the name, Lord Hong. Could it be Lord Hong, who's in charge of Dongling City's tax collection? One of the 4 lords under the city lord. Shoo, lower your voice. We can't discuss Lord Hong in private. Lin Feng pricked up his ears. The surrounding whispers entered his ears. The Lord Hong, in front of him, gradually came into view. He was alone, wearing a navy blue robe. He was tall and muscular, and his hands were behind his back. He came with a valiant smile. For a moment, Lin Feng couldn't figure out his intention. Was he an enemy or a friend? He didn't know him, and the 2 people from the Xiaoxiang sword sect didn't seem to be familiar with him either. If he was just passing by, it seemed that something was amiss. At this moment, hey, old Hong, aren't you running a little too fast? Another voice rang out, sounding a little old. A ghostly figure flashed past and appeared beside Lord Hong, Hong Dao. It was an old man smoking a pipe and had a shifty-eyed face. President Situ. Aqua Light Sword Xing Zijua was startled and then cupped his hands. Another one. Lin Feng's heart trembled. If it was an expert of 1 sub-week, he might still have a chance of survival. However, if it was an expert of 2 sub-weeks, he would have no chance at all. Old monkey, what are you doing here? Hong Dao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Does this road belong to you? You're the only one who can leave, but I can't. The little old man had a faint smile on his face as he spoke, not giving Hong Dao any face at all. However, judging from their expressions, it was obvious that their relationship was quite good. You're here for this kid as well? Hong Kwang asked in surprise. The little old man, Situ, blew out a smoke ring. Can't I come out to take a look out of curiosity? All right. Hong Dao smiled bitterly. The 2 of them bickered as they walked. Everyone watched with widened eyes and remained silent. It was rare to see such big shots, but now they were seeing 2 at the same time. Furthermore, according to Lord Hong, the 2 of them seemed to be here for the youth. In an instant, the way everyone looked at Lin Feng changed again and again. They were rather curious. As for He Long and Xing Zijua, their expressions turned ugly. They are indeed here for me. Lin Feng had actually guessed it. Otherwise, how could they appear at such a coincidence? However, he didn't understand their motives. After all, he didn't know these two high-ranking people. Wait, Lord Hong is a subordinate of the city lord. Could it be the Eastcom army? Lin Feng was secretly alarmed as he looked at Hong Dao with fear. In the past half a month, more than 2,000 Eastcom army experts had died at his hands. It could be said that he had completely offended him. If Lord Hong came for this, he would be in trouble. However, who is this Situ Ho? President Situ? Lin Feng's heart stirred as his eyes lit up. Hong Dao and Situ Ho. They approached. Suddenly, perfect body? Hong Dao's eyes lit up as he looked at Lin Feng and blurted out. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell to the ground. This included Water Dragon Sword, He Long, and Water Light Sword Xing Zijua. Even though they were in opposing positions, they widened their mouths in shock. Perfect body. This was an extremely special existence on planet Nemo. As long as one attained a perfect body before the age of 30, it meant that as long as one didn't perish and their aptitude wasn't too bad, they could advance to become a Nemo expert in their lifetime. The biggest obstacle had been removed. On planet Nemo, a perfect body was synonymous with an excellent bloodline. Not bad, kid. Situ Ho exhaled a smoke ring and looked at Lin Feng in admiration. Oh, Lin Feng was also rather surprised. He didn't care about the exposure of his perfect body, but the attitudes of Hong Dao and Situ Ho were different from what he had imagined. This was especially so for Lord Hong Dao. Meng Chuan had killed more than 2,000 Eastcom soldiers, but he couldn't see any anger in his eyes. Greetings, seniors. I'm Lin Feng. Lin Feng bowed. One wouldn't hit a smiling person. One wouldn't blame others for being polite. Good, very good. Hong Dao smiled and stroked his long beard. His eyes revealed his appreciation for talent. Taifu has finally grown some brains. I didn't introduce you wrongly this time. Taifu. It was a familiar word. Lin Feng searched his memories and his eyes immediately lit up. Senior, do you know Dong Taifu, who is known as Master Dong? Hong Dao couldn't help but laugh. This little fellow, Taifu, is living a good life in Chongyang Mountain City. Master Dong? Master Dong's mother. He suddenly cursed, appearing much more amiable. Hong Dao smiled at Lin Feng and said, "This isn't the place to talk. Come, follow me into the city." Swoosh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He felt a sense of gratitude towards Dong Taifu. It was all thanks to him this time. His gaze landed on the old man, Situ Ho, who was holding a pipe. Lin Feng's heart stirred. Senior Situ, could you be the president of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce? You have good taste, little fellow, praised Situ Ho. He glanced at Lin Feng meaningfully. He swept his gaze around and lowered his voice. That kid, Lu Yu, probably didn't mention to you that I'm his immediate superior. I was the one who approved your two-heart sutras. Huh. Lin Feng looked at Situ Ho and Hong Dao. I met a benefactor this time. He had met two benefactors. Little fellow, follow old Hong into the city first. Situ Ho took a puff of his pipe and casually said, "It's nothing much. I just passed by to take a look. With old Hong around, no one will dare to touch you." Speaking of which, Situ Ho glanced at He Long and Xing Zijua, whose faces were ashen. These two fellows might not be able to touch you. Lin Feng's heart was warmed. It was obvious that Senior Situ had specially come to rescue him. Thank you, Senior. Lin Feng bowed his head and said gratefully, "All right, stop flattering each other." Hong Dao laughed heartily. There's so many people watching. Let's enter the city first. Then I'll accept. Lin Feng nodded. The three of them turned around and left. The famous Water Dragon Sword, Long, and Water Light Sword, Xing Zijua, didn't dare to move. They could only watch Lin Feng leave with ashen faces. Chapter 488. Sir Hong. The city guards and city guard commanders all bowed in greeting. Their respect was evident in their words and expressions. Hong Dao was an important figure in East Spirit City. Not only was he a powerful fighter, but he also held great power. He was one of the four sirs under the city lord and was in charge of the entire East Spirit City's tax collection. All the martial artists who were about to enter the city retreated to the sides. They curiously sized up Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan, trying to guess their backgrounds. They were not ordinary people since Sir Hong had to personally welcome them. With Sir Hong's strength and status, there's no need for him to feign civility with me. Lin Feng followed behind Hong Dao, his mind racing. Moreover, President Situ is familiar with him and knows his temperament. Since they recognize me, they should know what I've done in the past half a month. Lin Feng felt more at ease when he thought of this. Compared to Hong Dao, he trusted Situ Ho more. His first impression of both of them was quite good. However, Sir Hong had an unfathomable smoothness due to his political background. On the other hand, President Situ seemed like an old imp but had a genuine temperament. Like Liu Yu, he was a good person. However, since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. There must be a reason why Sir Hong is so polite to me, Lin Feng thought. Right now, he can only take one step at a time. His gaze fell on Lan Xinyan, who was beside him. Her delicate face was covered in sweat. She was so nervous that her lips were pale. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. He gently patted Lan Xinyan's stiff shoulder. She was startled like a frightened deer. When she saw Lin Feng's expression, she blushed and felt a little embarrassed. After entering E-Spirit City, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It was bustling with noise and clamor, endless streams of horses and carriages. Heads surged as far as the eye could see, and the city was so big that one couldn't see the end. Lan Xinyan covered her mouth. Her beautiful eyes lit up, and her nervousness disappeared. To her, all of this was new. Compared to E-Spirit City, Changyang Mountain City paled in comparison. How do you feel, Brother Lin? Hong Dao turned around and asked with a smile. It's my first time here, Lin Feng said with a smile. Everything here is special to me. Hong Dao stroked his long beard. I'll show you around E-Spirit City when you have time. This is one of the 3 largest cities in the Eastcom continent. He carefully sized up Lin Feng. Hong Dao secretly. This was his first time entering E-Spirit City. Ordinary martial artists would be amazed, just like the girl beside Lin Feng. However, Lin Feng acted as if it was nothing. Judging from his performance, it was either due to his astonishing willpower or because he was experienced and knowledgeable. Rumor has it that he has a Nye Mo expert as his master. Perhaps it's true. Hong Xiao's thoughts turned quickly, but he didn't show it. But he didn't know how calm Lin Feng was. It was a city that had seen many skyscrapers and steel on earth. Other than the fact that E-Spirit City was a little bigger, it was actually a far cry from the buildings on earth. However, Lin Feng was very fond of this ancient Huaxiao architectural style. Whoosh! In the sky above E-Spirit City, powerhouses flew past from time to time. Lin Feng looked up. He had seen them in Changyang Mountain City. There was an unwritten rule in the 33 continents. Only experts above the age of 1 week in the womb could fly in the sky. They wanted to be superior to others. However, there were too few experts above the age of 1 week in Changyang Mountain City. In E-Spirit City, they could be found easily. Many experts above the age of 1 week were relatively young. They flew in the same direction. Today is the day of the Slaying Sword Palace's disciple recruitment. Many young experts on the Stars of Brilliance list are here for this, Hong Dao said. Experts above the age of 1 week in the womb need to join a sect to learn. Lan Xinyan exclaimed. Hong Kuang chuckled and glanced at Lan Xinyan. For many young experts with powerful backgrounds and access to large amounts of cultivation resources, as long as they aren't too lazy or have poor aptitudes, it isn't difficult to reach the fetal stage. Lan Xinyan covered her mouth. Her beautiful eyes widened. Lin Feng nodded. He knew this very well. On planet Nemo, there are all kinds of spiritual fruits and pills to improve one's talent soul and earth soul. To obtain first-grade Holy Qi, one only needed a Holy Qi heart mantra. As long as one could obtain Holy Qi, they could cultivate by absorbing holy crystals. Simply put, money. With money, reaching the age of 1 week in the womb was only a matter of time. After the age of 1 week in the womb, one could still cultivate in this way, but the cost would increase tenfold or even 100-fold. However, in the end, external things were still external. The key was one's bloodline, cultivation, aptitude, and diligence. Experts below the age of 30 in the womb are only on the Stars of Brilliance list. They aren't ranked. Many experts above the age of 2 weeks aren't on the Stars of Brilliance list. Those who could be ranked on the Stars of Brilliance list have amazing potential. Like Brother Lin, they have already attained a perfect body and will become a Nemo expert in the future. Hong Dao looked at Lin Feng with admiration in his eyes. Either your strength or battle prowess is astonishing. Lan Xinyan's gaze was filled with envy and admiration. Lin Feng was indifferent. He asked curiously, "How many ranks are there in the Stars of Brilliance list?" 1,000. Hong Dao raised his finger and said with a smile, "The Stars of Brilliance list is published by Bagua Palace. The rankings are quite authoritative. I believe it won't be long before Brother Lin's name is on a list." "Wow," Lan Xinyan exclaimed. In other words, there are more than 1,000 experts below the age of 30 who have a chance of breaking through and becoming a Nemo expert. Lin Feng thought to himself. The number was much higher than he had imagined. This was because many of them weren't on the list. That's true. There are many in Eastcom continent alone. There are a total of 33 continents. Planet Nemo was huge. Lin Feng knew his strength very well. He had just stepped into Planet Nemo's standard. He was still quite a distance away from Ao Jianhui, the sect master of the Divine Nirvana sect. "There's a Nemo expert behind the Slaying Sword Palace," Hong Dao said. As one of the top 10 sects in the 33 continents, the Slaying Sword Palace has a deep foundation. There are 11 people in the sect who are ranked on the Stars of Brilliance list. There are even more who are on the Stars of Brilliance list. Among them, there's a genius expert ranked 7th on the Stars of Brilliance list by Jingxiu. Although she's a woman, she's not inferior to any man. Therefore, everyone wants to enter the Slaying Sword Palace and make a great leap. Hong Dao said slowly. Lin Feng nodded and asked, "Lord Hong, do you think it's possible for my friend to enter the Slaying Sword Palace?" Hong Dao smiled and shook his head. He didn't beat around the bush. He directly described the cruel selection process of the Slaying Sword Palace. Lin Feng also guessed that although Lan Xinyan had a good bloodline, her foundation was too weak. She was only at the 5th stage of the Qi Cyclone realm at the age of 16. Compared to other cultivators, she was no match for them. "It's okay." Lan Xinyan looked at Lin Feng. Her big eyes were moved. She forced a smile and said, "Actually, I also guessed it. At that time, I just wanted to give it a try." Suddenly, Lan Xinyan's smile bloomed. "Moreover, even if I can't enter the Slaying Sword Palace, I won't be disappointed." "Really? Okay." Lin Feng smiled happily. It was obvious that Lan Xinyan had let go of her hatred. Chapter 489. They entered Hong Dao's residence. It was solemn and quiet. There were even city guards guarding the front of the residence. It was so tight that even a mosquito couldn't fly in. He has a high position and authority. How imposing. Lin Feng thought to himself as he thought about Hong Dao's purpose in bringing him into the residence. He vaguely understood, but he wasn't sure. However, at the very least, Hong Dao didn't have any ill intentions towards him. He was different from the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Now, he had a deep feud with the Xiaoxiang sword sect. It was already an irreconcilable situation. Although the residence was huge, Lin Feng's heart wasn't here. After settling Lan Xinyan down, Hong Dao quickly brought Lin Feng to a quiet courtyard. He dismissed his attendants. There was a stone platform with ancient carvings, 2 stone stools, a pot of wine, and 2 wine cups. There was a pine tree, and the fragrance of flowers was pleasant. The atmosphere was elegant and peaceful. With Brother Lin's talent, I believe you have already guessed my purpose. Hong Dao smiled as he poured a cup of wine for Lin Feng. Lin Feng raised his cup. "If I'm not wrong, Lord Hong wants to recruit me?" Hong Dao laughed loudly. Brother Lin is indeed a straightforward person. When Tai Fu mentioned little friend earlier, I had already taken note of it. I regret not meeting you earlier at the city gate. I wonder if Brother Lin can guess which faction I belong to. "Oh," Lin Feng sneered. He originally thought that Hong Dao was from the official City Lord faction of East Spirit City or the Eastcom Army. However, from what he said just now, it didn't seem like it. However, When he mentioned his faction, he was rather arrogant. He seemed to be superior to others. Even when he mentioned the Killing Sword Palace, he didn't show any respect. 5 super factions. This thought immediately appeared in Lin Feng's mind. The Treasure Refining Sect, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, the 8 Trigrams Palace, the 10,000 Medicine Valley, and the Blood Tower. President Situ belongs to the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. Senior Hong has a good relationship with him. They should be close friends for many years. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce can be excluded. Lin Feng thought to himself. The Treasure Refining Sect and the 10,000 Medicine Valley are 2 major factions. They mainly do business in the 33 continents. They have always kept a low profile. Blood Tower and Blood Assassins have always been mysterious. Senior Hong is so high profile. That's even more impossible. Then what's left? Lin Feng suddenly recalled the mysterious black-robed man. He had guessed that he might be a member of the 8 Trigrams Palace. Senior Hong Dao. There is a huge difference between the black-clothed man and Senior Hong. If they belong to the same force, it shouldn't be like this. The swordsmen of the Xiaoxiang sword sect were extremely similar. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce's President Lu Yu and President Situ also had similar temperaments. If it was the blood assassins of the Blood Tower, there would be hidden killing intent among the assassins. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. If my guess is correct, Senior Hong should be... Lin Feng looked to Hong Dao, a member of the East Extreme Palace. It was rooted in the East Com continent. Although it wasn't a super faction, the East Pole Palace was still the overlord of the East Com continent. Hong Dao laughed heartily. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Since that's the case, I'll get straight to the point. Our East Palace is not inferior to the Killing Sword Palace in any aspect. It can be said that we are comparable to the 5 major factions in the East Com continent. We also have Nemo experts behind us. No matter how good your aptitude is, you still need the guidance of a master in top-grade Heart Sutra. With the help of pills, it's like pouring oil on a fire. The fire will burn even more fiercely. Hong Dao looked straight at Lin Feng. If Brother Lin joins us, I can guarantee that. The East Palace will nurture you with the best treatment, and you will rush straight to Nemo. Within a year, you will be promoted to Child Zhou. Within 5 years, you will definitely become a Nemo expert. Lin Feng was tempted. Hong Dao was right. Cultivation conditions and environment were very important. The East Palace could be considered a tyrant in the East Com continent. Even compared to the 5 great super forces, it was not much inferior. In particular, they had many branches and were popular everywhere in the East Com continent. It would be a lie to say that Lin Feng was not tempted. Xiaoxiang Manor. Although it was not as grand as the Hong Manor, it was still considered famous in East Spirit City. No matter what, the Xiaoxiang sword sect was still bigger than a horse. It still had many Child Zhou experts. Although sect master Xiao Tsong was not very strong, only a Child Zhou stage 9, he had a wide network and was able to advance and retreat. It was evident that the Xiaoxiang sword sect was still one of the top 10 sects in the East Com continent. Is he really a perfect body? Xiao Tsong's mustache rose slightly as he frowned. It can't be fake. Xing Zijua's eyes flashed coldly. No wonder I couldn't sense his strength level. He long came to a realization. Xiao Tsong nodded lightly. Lord Hong thinks so highly of him. He is naturally extraordinary. To be able to remain unscathed despite being surrounded and easily kill Wu Qi and Wu Chu at Child Zhou Stage 5 and Wu Chu at Child Zhou Stage 6, his combat strength has probably reached Child Zhou Stage 8. What? He Long and Xing Zijua's expressions changed. This is only a conservative estimate. Xiao Tsong's gaze landed on the two of them as a glint flashed across his thin face. Let me ask you, be it the East Com army or our Xiaoxiang sword sect, have we ever forced him into a corner? Have we ever severely injured him? The two of them remained silent. Let me ask you again, how much do you know about Lin Feng's background? Xiao Tsong's expression was serious. Heilong's expression was extremely ugly. Do you want revenge? Xiao Tsong threw out a bombshell. Heilong and Xing Zijua's eyes lit up. Heilong immediately asked, Sect Master, Do you have a way? Secmaster, you are still the best. Xing Zijua flattered him and immediately said, with your wide network of friends, you must know Child Zhou experts. It's easy to kill a mere Lin Feng. Xiao Tsong revealed a meaningful smile. How do we kill him? The two of them were stumped by his question. You're oversimplifying things. Xiao Tsong sighed softly. This is East Spirit City, not Changyang Mountain City. We can do whatever we want in Changyang Mountain City, but here, even Child Zhou experts have to abide by the rules. Remember, there's always someone better than you. This time, both Lord Hong and President Sidu have appeared. The news that Lin Feng is a perfect body will soon spread like wildfire. With Bagua Hall's intelligence network, Lin Feng will definitely be on the Star Brilliance list. When the time comes, Lin Feng will be free to choose between the 5 super factions and the 7 native factions of the Eastcom continent. That old fox, Hong Dao, has already made the first move. He's currently recruiting Lin Feng. He Long and Xing Zijua's faces turned pale. They were not fools. Once Lin Feng joined East Extreme Palace, it would be extremely difficult for them to take revenge. Xiao Tsong said indifferently, with this child's current potential, as long as he doesn't die, he will definitely become a Child Zhou expert. The biggest obstacle to him becoming a Nemo expert has also been removed. In time, he can single-handedly destroy our Xiaoxiang sword sect. During this period, we can't even think of anything. If he's under the protection of East Extreme Palace. Swoosh, swoosh. He Long and Xing Zijua's faces were extremely pale. Chapter 490. Disastrous Consequences. From the moment they became enemies with Lin Feng, they walked step by step until now. Their hatred was monstrous, but they rarely calmed down and settled down. What would happen in the future? Damn it. He Long gritted his teeth as cold sweat seeped out of his forehead. What should we do? Secmaster. Xing Zijua's chest rose and fell rapidly as he looked at Xiao Kong. Your Xiaoxiang 13 swords were too impulsive this time. Xiao Tsong shook his head helplessly with his hands behind his back. Remember, never underestimate any enemy. Xiao Tsong stood up and slowly walked out of the door. Let's go before things get out of hand. He Long and Xing Zijua were stunned. What are you waiting for? Xiao Tsong looked back at the two. Come with me to visit Lin Feng. Huh. The two were stunned. Xiao Tsong said softly, it's better to have one more friend than one more enemy. When a viper hides its hand, a brave warrior unties his wrist. Sometimes, taking a step back is the best way to get a better view. There's no need to put the Xiaoxiang sword sect in great danger for the sake of face. You can only gain by letting go. With that, his thin figure stepped out of the door. Hong residence. Lin Feng was considering Hong Dao's words carefully. Join East Pole Palace. At present, it was indeed a good choice. Hong Dao continued to instigate him. Brother Lin, you may not know the current situation. You have completely offended the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Perhaps the Xiaoxiang sword sect is as weak as a paper tiger in your eyes, but don't underestimate any opponent. Although the Xiaoxiang sword sect has declined since the death of the previous sect master, it still has some strength. The Xiaoxiang sword sect's network is quite wide. With sect master Xiao Tsong's ability, he can invite experts from Zizhou to help. When that happens, Brother Lin will be in great danger. However, as long as Brother Lin joins East Pole Palace, all problems will no longer be a problem. Xiao Tsong will not dare to offend East Pole Palace. Even if Brother Lin wants to take revenge, Hong Dao's lips curled into a meaningful smile. East Pole Palace will also help you behind the scenes. As his voice fell, the atmosphere became tense. Hong Dao's words were sonorous and forceful. They hit the enemy's weak spot and went straight to Lin Feng's heart. However, Lin Feng was a little disgusted by the last sentence. It was the truth, but it came from Senior Hong Dao. There was a hint of warning and threat. The last few sentences reflected Hong Dao's character even more. He held a position of power and was a slick person. He said one thing, but his heart was another. At the moment, he was a valuable asset to him. However, once a conflict broke out and crossed his bottom line, He believed that the speed at which he changed his attitude would be faster than flipping the pages of a book. This is a serious matter. Senior Hong, I wonder if you would allow me to consider it for a few days? Lin Feng asked. There was no need to make a decision immediately. Now, he had a perfect body. According to Senior Hong, he could be ranked on the star's brilliance ranking. There was no need to worry about not being able to find shelter. His gaze landed on Hong Dao, and his expression froze slightly. A bright light flashed in his eyes, and he instantly hid his displeasure. It's fine. Hong Dao laughed heartily. Lin Feng also smiled and nodded. He left. Lan Xinyan was a little startled. Lin Feng nodded. Seeing that Lan Xinyan's pretty face was a little strange, he asked, "What's wrong?" Lan Xinyan pursed her cherry lips and hesitated for a moment. Just now, the people from East Extreme Palace asked me if I was willing to join them. Lin Feng nodded. Senior Hong's actions were obviously to tie him down. He must have misunderstood when he saw Ren Baqian enter East Spirit City with Lan Xinyan. He must have misunderstood. However, it was no wonder that Ren Baqian still brought Lan Xinyan with him when he was being hunted down. Any normal person would misunderstand. However, Ren Baqian did not know that he had only met Lan Xinyan by chance. They were not close friends. I didn't agree, Lan Xinyan said immediately. Lin Feng smiled. East Extreme Palace is not inferior to Slang Sword Palace. Aren't you afraid of missing the opportunity? Lan Xinyan shook her head. In the clan, I'm not one of the most talented. Lord Hong is right. Back then, I wanted to join Slang Sword Palace. I was too naive. Lan Xinyan looked over and said, therefore, I think the reason they asked me to join East Extreme Palace is not because of me. Lin Feng looked at Lan Xinyan for a long time. Actually, you're very smart. Lin Feng said, how about this? If you trust me, come with me. No matter what, I'll make sure you're safe. Amen. Lan Xinyan did not hesitate. Lin Feng smiled. He bid farewell to Lord Hong. Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan left the Hong residence. Where are we going now? Lan Xinyan looked at Lin Feng timidly. Ever since Lin Feng saved her in the cave, she had unknowingly started to rely on Lin Feng. Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce, Lin Feng said. As he was from the Elemental Merchant Alliance, he had a good impression of the Chamber of Commerce. I have an appointment with President Situ. I'll meet him after I finish my promise. As Lin Feng spoke, he paused for a moment and looked into the distance. His expression turned serious. Two familiar figures stood in front of him. They were the Water Dragon Sword He Long and the Water Light Sword Xing Zijua. In the middle of them was a middle-aged man with his hands behind his back. He had a handlebar mustache, and he stood there indifferently with a graceful bearing. The Xiaoxiang 13 swords. Lan Xinyan exclaimed. Ah, sect leader Xiao Tsong, this is bad. Lan Xinyan panicked. Her chest heaved up and down as she looked at Lin Feng anxiously. When she saw his resolute and righteous face, her heart was in turmoil. Ease. Sect leader Xiao Tsong? Lin Feng's eyes shone. At this moment, Xiao Tsong was walking toward him with He Long and Xing Zijua. Lin Feng stretched out his hand. With a gust of wind, he silently hid Lan Xinyan behind him. Although fighting was prohibited in Dongling City, he hated the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Even if they did something out of line, it was not impossible for them to destroy him. Xiaoxiang sword sect, sect leader Xiao Kong. Xiao Tsong smiled politely and nodded in greeting. Lin Feng. Lin Feng returned the greeting. He frowned slightly. He did not understand Xiao Tsong's intentions. He also saw He Long and Xing Zijua's strange expressions. Due to my negligence, a series of misunderstandings have occurred between the Xiaoxiang sword sect and Brother Lin. Small matters have escalated, and the conflict has intensified. Xiao Tsong sighed and lamented. I did not wish for this to happen. I'm here to apologize to Brother Lin. I hope Brother Lin can be magnanimous and let bygones be bygones. Lin Feng was a little confused. Behind him, Lan Xinyan's eyes widened. She did not understand. Until, we were also deceived and instigated. Please forgive us, Brother Lin. He Long and Xing Zijua were unwilling. Even their sect leader had apologized. How could they not lower their heads? It was not too much to lower their heads to a future elite. Lin Feng finally regained his senses. He did not expect this. He had killed so many people from the Xiaoxiang sword sect. Now they were apologizing to him. Chapter 491. Lin Feng was not the only one who was surprised. Lan Xinyan was surprised as well. She stared blankly at the Xiaoxiang 13 swords that she had admired since she was young. When she was young, her grandfather would always mention the water dragon sword He Long and the water light sword Xing Zijua with a face full of pride. Those were all awe-inspiring and well-known figures. But now, they actually lowered their noble heads. For a cultivator, lowering their heads was harder than taking their lives. Heavens! Lan Xinyan covered her mouth in disbelief. She stared at the scene in shock. Her heart almost stopped beating. At this time, the scattered crowd in twos and threes were also attracted by this scene, and they were whispering to each other. Something big. Lin Feng muttered to himself irresolutely as he looked ahead. In an instant, his eyes met Xiao Tsung's. They were a pair of shrewd and wise eyes. "You're too kind, Sectmaster." Lin Feng smiled and nodded. "Since it's a misunderstanding, then let's turn big problems into small ones and small ones into nothing." There was no need to go too far. Lin Feng knew when to stop. It was better to have one less enemy than one more. Moreover, he had already taken his revenge. He had already vented his anger 10 times, 100 times over. The grudge between him and the Xiaoxiang sword sect had arisen because of a small matter. It had arisen because of face. Now that they had turned hostility into friendship, it could be considered an end. Good. Brother Lin is indeed straightforward. Xiao Tsung was full of praise. At the end of the day, the Xiaoxiang sword sect is in the wrong. How about this? I'll set up a few tables of peace wine at the flowery brocade house. I hope Brother Lin will grace us with your presence. We wouldn't have known each other if we hadn't fought. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect Xiao Tsung to be so impressive. He hadn't taken advantage of Xiao Tsung, but Xiao Tsung had taken advantage of the situation, turning hostility into friendship. Could it be that he wanted to take a step further? "Sectmaster, you're too kind. There's no need for a peace wine. My grudge with your sect ends here. We'll go our separate ways in the future and mind our own business." Lin Feng nodded and cupped his hands. "I still have matters to attend to. I'll take my leave first. I hope we'll meet again." After saying that, Lin Feng pulled up the still confused Lan Xinyan and left. "Until we meet again," Xiao Tsung said with a smile. Only He Long and Xing Zijua were left behind. It was rather awkward. Along the way, Lan Xinyan looked at Lin Feng with both respect and fear. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. "What do you want to ask?" "Just ask." Lan Xinyan blushed. "I was just curious. Are you curious why they lower their heads?" Lin Feng understood. Lan Xinyan nodded repeatedly. Actually, they were also forced by the situation. If they weren't forced to do so, who would be willing to lower their heads? Lin Feng's eyes flickered. Xiao Tsung isn't a simple person. He knows that continuing the fight won't do the Xiaoxiang sword sect any good. So he made a prompt decision to sever the enmity, retreat in order to advance, and consider the overall situation. Xiao Tsung's actions left a deep impression on Lin Feng. "I think you're not a simple person," Lan Xinyan muttered softly. Lin Feng laughed. "I'm very simple. Our relationship is also very simple. It works everywhere. We speak with our fists. The Xiaoxiang sword sect can't deal with me right now. They're also afraid that I'll take revenge after I become stronger. So, they might as well admit defeat and end this matter." Lan Xinyan nodded in realization. "Then you—" Lan Xinyan hesitated. She looked at Lin Feng with her beautiful eyes. "Are you really not joining the East Pole Palace?" "It's too early to say that." Lin Feng pursed his lips. He had a plan in mind. "It's good to have a choice. Even if I don't have a choice, I still have the East Pole Palace as a backup. We'll discuss everything after the auction." "The auction?" Lan Xinyan exclaimed. "Is it the super auction held by the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce? The minimum entry requirement is 10 million Nemo coins?" Lin Feng smiled. "Oh, you know quite a lot." Lan Xinyan stuck out her tongue. "I heard that apart from the Eastcom continent's warriors, it will also attract experts from the neighboring continents. They will all participate. If you're lucky, you might catch the eye of a certain expert. Or, if you gain some benefits, you'll be rich. A few years ago, a warrior was in a good mood. When he came out, he gave away 1,000,000 Nemo coins. Back then, there was a mad scramble. Lan Xinyan's eyes were filled with envy. Lin Feng smiled. Indeed, 1,000,000 Nemo coins was a huge sum to ordinary warriors. It was definitely a huge sum. The entire Blue Moon clan wasn't worth that much. With Lan Xinyan's strength at stage 5 Cyclone, she couldn't earn more than 10 Nemo coins a month. To warriors with hundreds of millions of Nemo coins, 1,000,000 Nemo coins was nothing. However, to most warriors, 1,000,000 Nemo coins was an astronomical figure. Brother, Lin. When Lan Xinyan spoke, she paused for a moment. Her pretty face blushed. Do you want to join in the fun too? Lin Feng smiled. He understood that after Lan Xinyan uttered those 3 words, her hatred for him had vanished into thin air. Even her remaining suspicions had vanished into thin air. Yes, do you want to go? Asked Lin Feng. All right, let's go together. Lan Xinyan beamed. There will be many temporary stalls set up outside the auction hall. Who knows, we might be able to find some treasures. Lan Xinyan pouted. I really want to enter the auction hall to take a look. Every treasure auctioned, there is a rare treasure. Lin Feng nodded softly. He knew that Lan Xinyan was only going to take a look and experience the atmosphere of the auction when she said that she wanted to join the fun. Won't we be able to enter if we have 10,000,000 Nemo coins? Asked Lin Feng with a smile. I want to do that too. Lan Xinyan covered her mouth and chuckled. But I can't even afford 1,000 Nemo coins. Even if I sell my entire body, it won't be enough. Lan Xinyan looked up. Her beautiful eyes flickered with longing and desire. If only I had that much money. Lin Feng smiled. You'll have it sooner or later. Really, don't lie to me. Lan Xinyan giggled. She was becoming more and more familiar with Lin Feng. Amen. I'll marry anyone who gives me that much money. Wow, so expensive. Not long after Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan left the main street, a handsome young man appeared. He was clad in a gray spiritual armor, and there were more than 10 people following behind him. All of them were embryonic stage experts. Their appearance immediately attracted the gazes of many martial practitioners. All kinds of envy and jealousy could be seen in their eyes. Heaven-grade battle armor, and a heaven-grade sword. Even his followers are equipped with earth-grade holy treasures. That's too much. Did he fail to recognize Mount Tai? That's the young sect master of the Nirvana God sect. He's ranked on the Bright Star ranking. Yes, that's right. That's the symbol of the Nirvana God sect. It's located on the Nirvana God Mountain. It's ranked even higher than the Slaying Sword Palace. Everyone parted to make a path for him. They were all in awe. The handsome young man walked over with his head held high. He was noble and arrogant. He was the one Lin Feng had met once before. He was the young sect master, A.O. Lin. Chapter 492. I thought East Spirit City was special. A.O. Lin strode forward with a disdainful look in his eyes. It's one of the 3 major cities of Eastcom continent. Beside A.O. Lin, the leader of the guards, Li Jun, said, the 33 continents are divided into upper, middle, and lower grades. Eastcom continent is only in the middle grade and can't be compared to the Dark God continent. However, the scale of the auction this time is quite impressive. I know. Father has already instructed me. A.O. Lin waved his hand. He wants me to come out and see the world and hone myself. Li Jun said respectfully, young sect master is talented and intelligent. You'll definitely become someone great with some experience. A.O. Lin smiled. Don't flatter me. Do you think I don't know what I'm capable of? If I'm really as talented and intelligent as you say, I'd already be on the Glorious Star list at this age. Li Jun's expression didn't change. Young sect master, you're wrong. Master has done his best to nurture you. With the Dark God sect's resources, we can produce an expert on the Glorious Star list, but it's useless. The true ruler of Dark God planet is the Dark God sect. The Glorious Star list is just a preparation and transition period. Young sect master, you don't have to worry about temporary gains and losses. A.O. Lin sighed. I know Father's intentions, but the Glorious Star list is really... Li Jun, You don't know how many people are laughing at me behind my back." Li Jun bowed. "These are just narrow-minded views. Master has put in a lot of effort to lay a foundation for you so that you can go further in the future. Now, you're only one step away from the perfect body. If you can achieve it in the glorious star list, you'll be extremely rare. You'll be as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns in the 33 continents." Ao Lin's eyes lit up. "Is that so?" Li Jun nodded seriously. "Achieving a perfect body in the glorious star list is enough to be on the glorious star list. As far as I know, Eastcom continent is the closest to achieving a perfect body in the glorious star list. That was 10 months ago, and it just barely squeezed into the age of 30. Ao Lin nodded in satisfaction. He was only 23 years old now. Suddenly, have you heard? A youth with a perfect body just appeared at the city gate. Haha. I say, Ai Hui, your news is too outdated. Lord Hong and Chairman Sidhu were fighting over this good seedling. TSK, you don't know, but that young man looks like he's only in his 20s. I heard that he's only in his first week. A 20-year-old fetus with a perfect body? F***CK, this is too awesome. On the other side, Ao Lin and the others were stunned. Li Jun's mouth was wide open, and the words he wanted to say were all stuck in his throat. Ao Lin's face was even more pale. The bodyguards behind him wanted to laugh, but they didn't dare. Their faces were filled with awkwardness. It was the conversation between the leader of the guards, Li Jun, and the young sect master. A 20-year-old perfect body compared to young sect master. Not even dregs were left. Ao Lin glared at Li Jun, then stormed off. Li Jun had an embarrassed look on his face, but he didn't know whether to advance or retreat, so he hurriedly followed. Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. It was different from the ordinary Rising Sun shop. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce's encampment in East Spirit City was the center of the Eastcom continent's Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. For example, Lin Feng's 2 Heart Sutra martial arts manuals were for sale. They would make a decision here before returning to Changyang Mountain City. I heard that. President Situ is the person in charge here. Lan Xinyan followed behind Lin Feng nervously. To be precise, he's the president of the Eastcom continent's Commerce Department. Together with the president of the Warrior Department and the president of the Human Department, they are the 3 big shots. The long-haired woman in charge of receiving Lin Feng was gentle and elegant. She introduced with a smile. "So, you're also from the Commerce Department?" Lin Feng smiled. It was obvious that the long-haired woman revealed a hint of pride as she spoke. "Yes." The long-haired woman smiled and didn't pretend. "Our Commerce Department is the backbone of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. President Situ is usually very busy and has a lot of work to do. Both of you must be of noble status. Forgive me for not recognizing you, but I don't think I've seen you in Dongling City." "We just came to Dongling City." Lan Xinyan didn't have any ulterior motives and replied casually. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. He knew that the long-haired woman was trying to find out more about them. However, it made no difference whether she knew or not. "Let me guess. Both of you must be here to participate in the auction." The long-haired woman's voice was gentle and had a natural charm. "Yes." Just as Lan Xinyan was about to speak, Lin Feng beat her to it. Lan Xinyan opened her small mouth slightly and swallowed the second half of her sentence. She looked at Lin Feng and suddenly understood. Lan Xinyan blushed slightly and felt a little embarrassed. "Are there any good items in this auction?" Lin Feng started inquiring. Of course. The long-haired woman wasn't stingy. She revealed a professional smile. "The most precious items are our 3 finale items. They are rare even in the Nemo realm. Just the starting price alone exceeds 10 billion Nemo dollars." Wow! Lan Xinyan's face turned pale when she heard this number. Lin Feng nodded. This type of auction could be said to be the highest level in the 33 continents. The finale items naturally had sky-high prices. 10 billion Nemo dollars was just the starting price. It would exceed 100 billion in minutes. Do you have any recommendations for items around 100 million? It's fine if it's a little more expensive. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't set his sights on the finale items. He wasn't just going to join in the fun and broaden his horizons. At the same time, He wanted to buy some treasures that were useful for him. After all, he didn't want to carry a large sum of money with him. He had to convert his money into battle strength and strength. Treasures that could be used to their fullest potential would be used to their fullest potential. Of course, the long-haired woman glanced at Lin Feng and blinked her eyes. She seemed to have a deeper meaning as she continued to introduce the items. Soon, the three of them reached the top floor of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. This is the place. The long-haired woman revealed a professional and sweet smile and gestured for them to enter. The president is inside. Please enter. Lin Feng nodded. Just as he was about to enter, he suddenly felt a pair of soft hands touch him. Instantly, something appeared in his hand. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He turned to look at the long-haired woman. The latter blinked her beautiful eyes and moved her red lips slightly. How could he not understand the meaning behind her words? Beside him, Lan Xinyan's large and beautiful eyes were also looking at him. Lin Feng smiled and entered. Initiation. What a vixen, Lan Xinyan muttered softly. Professional women are naturally more aggressive, Lin Feng said. He wasn't too disgusted by this. But I think girls should be more reserved. Lan Xinyan rubbed her fingers and said softly. She stole a glance at Lin Feng. What do you think, big brother Lin? Lin Feng nodded and smiled. I think so too. As he spoke, he gently crumpled the paper ball in his hand. It turned into nothingness and walked forward. When Lan Xinyan saw this, a sweet smile appeared on her face. Her 3 steps turned into 2 as she hurriedly caught up with him. Chapter 493. Oomph. Ridiculous. The angry snort from the hall caused Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan to stop in their tracks. In an instant, a 2-meter-tall giant slammed the door and walked out. His irritable temper caused everyone in the Chamber of Commerce to keep quiet out of fear and retreat to the sides. Before Lin Feng had the time to react, his line of sight was already blocked by the huge, tyrannical figure. Get lost! The force of the force was so strong that Lin Feng's chest tightened. He and Lan Xinyan staggered to the side. The giant did not stop at all. Smoke came out of his nostrils as he stormed away. It was hair-raising. After a long time, everyone in the Chamber of Commerce heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Feng stood still and watched the giant's back as he left. His eyes sparkled. Another strong warrior of the first week. Not long after entering Dongling City, he had already encountered 3 strong warriors of the first week. As for those he saw on the streets, they were countless. Compared to Dongling City, Chanyang Mountain City was not even worth mentioning. The difference in the number of strong warriors was huge. His strength is much stronger than Master Hong and Chairman Situ. The giant's strength made Lin Feng feel an irresistible pressure. He could not feel that in front of Master Hong and Chairman Situ. Although they were strong, Lin Feng was confident that if he stubbornly resisted and fought with his life on the line, he could at least put up a fight, even if it would be difficult for him to escape defeat. However, against this giant, he was like an ant under a mountain. He cannot resist at all. He's at least a mid-level first week, Lin Feng thought. He might even be an upper-level first week powerhouse. They entered the hall. Come, have a seat. Situ Ho was quite hospitable. Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan bowed and sat down. I've embarrassed myself in front of you. Situ Ho blew out a smoke ring and said, The Chamber of Commerce and the Warriors Department have always been at odds. Everyone knows that fire and water are incompatible. Just now, we had some disagreements and a small dispute. A small dispute? Lin Feng's gaze swept across the messy hall. There were metal fragments scattered everywhere, as well as all kinds of broken things. Was that the president of the Warriors Department? Lin Feng asked. Situ Ho nodded. Luo Ho, people call him Violent Dragon. He is a level 9 martial artist, but sometimes he is a bit hot-tempered. Lin Feng chuckled. You call this a little? However, he knew that this was an internal matter of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce after all. From what the long-haired woman had said just now, it could be seen that the 3 divisions were secretly fighting one after another, and there were turbulent waves within. As the head of the business department, President Situ naturally didn't want to air his dirty linen in public. They didn't linger and soon started chatting. Compared to his relationship with Lord Hong, Lin Feng and President Sidu seemed to have known each other for a long time. Thus, there was no need for Lin Feng to sound him out. From my standpoint, I naturally hope that you can join the Chamber of Commerce. But Situ Ho put down his pipe and smiled bitterly. You've seen it for yourself, my young friend. The Warriors Department and I have a grudge. If I were to recommend you to the Warriors Department, it wouldn't be a problem. However, Luo Ho is petty and narrow-minded. I'm afraid he won't treat you sincerely. Lin Feng nodded. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce was clearly divided into different levels. Besides, to be honest, with your abilities, joining the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce isn't the best choice. Sidu Ho's expression was serious. My young friend, you achieved a perfect body at the age of 20. Your future is limitless. What you should consider is not only the present, but also the future. Senior, please speak, said Lin Feng. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time before you become a Nemo powerhouse. That's of utmost importance. What you should consider is what happens after you enter the Nemo world, said Sidu Ho. The Nemo world, located in the center of the Nemo planet, gathers the planet's essence. The experts of the human, demon, and fiend races live there. There are 2 layers of ancient seals in the Nemo world. Entry is forbidden, and we call them the Nemo world and the Nemo world. The Nemo world we usually talk about is actually the Nemo world after the first layer of seal. Living things can't pass through the seal, but dead things can. For example, some treasures and rare treasures at auctions come from the Nemo world. In fact, most cultivation techniques come from the Nemo world. Lin Feng nodded in enlightenment. President Situ's words were an eye-opener. As for what the Nemo world is and what secrets it has, we don't know anything about it, because the second layer of seal is completely isolated. Sidu Ho puffed out a smoke ring. My young friend, if you want to go further on the path of cultivation, you should consider the Nemo world now. It's different from the 33 continents. The competition in the Nemo world is intense. The fiends and demons are divided, and killing is everywhere. It's difficult for a person to last long. If you join one of the factions, your chances of survival will greatly increase. Although my Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce has some reputation in the 33 continents, it's only because we're on the right path and have a solid foundation. However, in the Nemo world where strength reigns supreme, the Chamber of Commerce. With a soft sigh, Situ Ho looked weary. Lin Feng understood. In the 33 continents, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce had a solid foundation and was still standing strong. However, in the Nemo world where strength reigned supreme, the sun had already set. The competition in the Nemo world was tragic. The birth and death of an expert could change the situation at any time. Furthermore, there was the Nemo world. In the Nemo world, the Slaying Sword Palace has many experts. Even the 100 Refined Sword Valley, which is ranked 98th in the 33 continents, is stronger than our Chamber of Commerce. Basically, the top 10 sects in the 33 continents are all doing well in the Nemo world. Especially the 3 most recognized sects, the Immortal Pavilion, the God Nirvana sect, and the Tao Enlightenment Valley. They're also among the top human forces in the Nemo world. The Immortal Pavilion only accepts women, but the God Nirvana sect and the Tao Enlightenment Valley have no restrictions. God Nirvana sect. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Lin Feng didn't interrupt President Situ's words. He carefully listened. Even if he wasn't going to join the Nirvana God sect, knowing more information about his enemy would only bring him benefits. The sect master of the God Nirvana sect, A.O. Jianhui. Lin Feng's eyes were cold. He had always remembered that hatred. One day he would kill him. The God Nirvana sect is located in the Nirvana continent. If you're interested, you can go to the Nirvana continent through the Gobi Desert. The Tao Enlightenment Valley is a bit far. It's 5 continents away from the Eastcom continent, so I don't recommend it. Lin Feng nodded. President Situ, do you have any saber sects to recommend? Situ Ho blew out a smoke ring. I only know a little about the Nemo world. I only know that the Blood sect, which is ranked 4th, and the Thunderbolt Palace, which is ranked 7th, are all good. There's also the Severing Saber Manor, which is ranked 12th. If you're interested in a saber sect, the Severing Saber Manor is a good choice. From the Eastcom continent, you only need to cross the Sea Python Ocean. Otherwise, you can go to the 100 Refined Sword Valley in the Eastcom continent. Lin Feng benefited a lot. Listening to you is better than studying for 10 years. Chapter 494. He left the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. Although it had only been a few hours, Lin Feng had learned a lot. He knew very well that his next path was not to continue living in the 33 continents, but to go to the Nemo world. To be precise, the Nemo world. Only with competition and killing could there be growth. Compared to the Nemo world, the 33 continents were too peaceful and lacked danger. Lin Feng knew that it was impossible for him to improve his strength and surpass Zhuo Zitong in 3 years. Even Dusk's plan only had a 1 in 1,000 chance of success. On the Nemo planet, the chances of success would be even lower if he cultivated normally. Gather the essence of the Nemo planet. Humans, demons, and demons fight everywhere. Lin Feng could imagine the cruelty of the Nemo world. To survive, to cultivate, and to obtain more resources, one had to do their best to climb up. This was the Nemo world in the Hell mode. Only by not taking the normal path could one's strength improve quickly. Every time, his strength was tempered and refined in desperate situations, transforming in battle. That was because the blood in his body was boiling. He yearned to fight with experts and become stronger. He was born in hardship and died in peace. I must go to the Nemo world. But before that, it's important to find a suitable sect to join and transition to the Nemo world. Lin Feng nodded. This was a transitional step. Not only could it speed up his cultivation, but it could also ensure that he could survive the beginning of the Nemo world smoothly. Lin Feng was confident, but not conceited. He still remembered clearly the reason why he had narrowly escaped death when he first entered the Nemo planet. This time, he could not repeat the same mistake. He strolled on the street. The trip to the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce had shocked Lan Xinyan. She was even better than Lin Feng. To her, she was like a frog at the bottom of a well who had seen the outside world. It was hard to imagine how vast and powerful the Nemo planet was. She used to think that the top experts were just pawns and soldiers in the Nemo world. Super forces like the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce and the Valley of 10,000 Medicine had declined in the Nemo world. The East Pole Palace was at death's door in the Nemo world. These were all supreme existences that could cause an earthquake in the Eastcom continent. Big Brother Lin, you want to go to the Nirvana world? Lan Xinyan still hadn't come back to her senses. Yes. Lin Feng nodded without hesitation. Why? Lan Xinyan asked reflexively. Even she felt that her question was a little silly. Why? Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He said softly, because I have many things to do. Because I want to become stronger. Because I want to return to our hometown. There are too many things. His intuition told him that only by entering Nemo world could he truly enter Nemo star. The secret of Earth's mass extinction must be in the Nemo world. The key to saving the little witch doctor. The pure and complete Chiyu bloodline could only be found in the Nemo world. And it was the way to save Senior Xiang Yu and the key to making himself stronger. Wait a minute. Lan Xinyan bit her lip and lowered her head. She looked a little disappointed, but no one knew what she was thinking. For her, she had experienced the ups and downs that she had never experienced in the past 16 years. She had seen a higher, farther, and vaster world. The impact was huge. Xian, do you want to become stronger? Lin Feng asked suddenly. Lan Xinyan raised her head in a daze. Her thoughts were still in a mess. Lin Feng turned and looked at Lan Xinyan. I promised you that no matter what, I would make sure you're safe. His feelings toward Lan Xinyan were a little complicated. He felt like he was sympathizing with her. He felt guilty. But no matter what, Lin Feng knew that after spending so much time with her, Lan Xinyan was very close to him. He had already treated Lan Xinyan as a friend. He had left a mentally handicapped woman like her in Dongling City. Even if he left, he would not feel at ease. You don't have to rush to tell me. Think about it slowly. Lin Feng looked at Lan Xinyan. Before the auction, tell me your answer. If you don't have any big goals and just want to live a peaceful life, I can ask President Sidhu to take care of you. You can work in the Commerce Department. The Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. Lan Xinyan's chest rose and fell rapidly. Lin Feng nodded. Although the Commerce Department is not as good as the Warriors Department, it is mainly run by the Chamber of Commerce. It is more suitable for people without ambition and with a peaceful mind. With President Situ's help, you should be able to reach the fetus week. If you work in the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce in the future, you should be able to reach President Liu Yu's level without any problems. Lin Feng knew President Situ's character very well. Since he had asked, he would help until the end. Moreover, he had his own reasons for befriending him. It was all about benefits. However, President Situ's benefits were more of a hidden and long-term investment. If you have the ability to enter the Nirvana world, remember to help the Chamber of Commerce. Lin Feng remembered President Situ's words and promised sincerely. Not for anything else, but just his sincerity was commendable. Fetus week, President Liu Yu. Lan Xinyan covered her mouth in shock. To her, this was already inconceivable. Even the clan leader was only at the 9th level of Qi Cloud. His status was far from President Liu Yu's. However, in Lin Feng's words, this was merely an ordinary life. Lan Xinyan's heart was in turmoil. Then what if I don't want an ordinary life? Lan Xinyan asked out of curiosity. Lin Feng was also slightly stunned. In his impression, Lan Xinyan was a gentle girl. She had no ambition and no goals. Simply put, she cultivated for the sake of cultivation. When she came to Dongling City that day, she wanted to enter the Slaying Sword Palace with hatred. However, now, her hatred had long disappeared. If you want to become stronger, you have to set the Nirvana world as your goal. Set the Nirvana world as your goal. Find a suitable place to settle down. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. Lan Xinyan bit her lips lightly. But my aptitude, Lin Feng interrupted her. Man proposes, God disposes. As long as you work hard, you won't regret it even if you fail in the end. Lin Feng looked at the blue half-moon on Lan Xinyan's forehead. Moreover, your aptitude is not bad. You have a high-grade water aptitude. You only lack an opportunity. An opportunity that can make you stronger. Lan Xinyan's beautiful eyes shone brightly. Can I really do it? You can, Lin Feng said. However, you have to be prepared. This path will be very difficult. It will be thousands of times more difficult than an ordinary life. Their eyes met. Lan Xinyan bit her lips so hard that they bled. However, her gaze toward Lin Feng became more and more determined. Lan Xinyan nodded vigorously. Her voice was clear and outstanding. I want to become stronger. I want to become as strong as you, Big Brother Lin. Lin Feng smiled. No matter what decision Lan Xinyan made, he would respect her choice. I will do my best to help you, Lin Feng said with a smile. Let's go. Where are we going? Lan Xinyan asked. Let's go and book the location of the auction first. After all, there are only 3 days left, Lin Feng said. Chapter 495. Dongling Auction House. A huge sealed auction house was located in the east of the city, covering an area of hundreds of thousands of square meters. This was the landmark building of Dongling City. The business streets were filled with people, and all the stalls were already scrambling to get there. There were also many people waiting outside the auction house, waiting for an opportunity. They were hoping to meet Bo Lu or a rich man. Big Brother Lin, do you really want to reserve a seat? Lan Xinyan's eyes widened. We're already here. Do you think I'm lying? Lin Feng smiled. Lan Xinyan had the same expression on her face the entire time. But, Lan Xinyan stuttered, unable to speak. Let's go. Lin Feng grabbed Lan Xinyan's wrist and led her into the Dongling auction house. There were many envious gazes around them. Many young and beautiful girls were throwing flirtatious glances at them, and many young men were making exaggerated movements, hoping to attract attention. However, they were all stopped by the guards outside the auction house. They entered the exclusive passage. The guards only glanced at Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan, but they didn't stop them. This passage was for selecting a seat and paying a deposit. If you didn't have the money, you would be kicked out and blacklisted by the auction house. No one would come here for no reason. Bright pearls shone. After entering the passage, the auction house staff was in charge of receiving them. Dear guests, this way please. The woman in charge of receiving them bowed, with a professional smile. On her chest was the emblem of the auction house. Lan Xinyan's face was filled with nervousness and uneasiness. Lin Feng calmly followed her inside. They entered the hall. Hello, dear guests. May I ask where you would like to reserve a seat? The woman asked with a smile. Please introduce me. Lin Feng sat down with Lan Xinyan. He was calm and composed. He had already asked President Situ about the rules of the Dongling auction house. Okay. The woman with embellished eyebrows took out a planar map that showed the trend of 4 extremes. They were red, yellow, green, and purple, with purple occupying the most space. Red had the most fine spots. Lin Feng glanced over and understood a little in his heart. Red is for ordinary seats. You need to pay a deposit of 10 million Nemo dollars. Yellow is the VIP seat. You'll need to pay a deposit of 100 million Nemo dollars. Green is a private room with a deposit of 1 billion Nemo dollars. Private VIP rooms are limited to 5 people and can be concealed. Purple is the VIP hall. You have to pay a deposit of 10 billion Nemo dollars. There's no limit to the number of people who can enter. Features, functions, price estimates, recommendations, and so on will all be listed in detail. During the auction, specialized auctioneer services will be provided. The woman explained in detail. Every word and sentence left Lan Xinyan in shock. Even the lowest red normal seat required a deposit of 10 million Nemo dollars. The most expensive one was 10 billion Nemo dollars. Furthermore, if they didn't bid for any of the items, 1% of the deposit would be deducted. 10 billion Nemo dollars minus 1%, that's 100 million Nemo dollars. Lan Xinyan was a bit confused. Lin Feng nodded. Generally speaking. Understood. It was no wonder that the minimum required to participate in the auction was 10 million Nemo coins. An upper-level martial artist would be able to afford it, and it would only take a few months for a powerhouse to earn 10 million Nemo coins. The stronger ones, Zizhou, had an even easier time. Just a reminder, the red normal seat. As for the yellow VIP seat, it's only limited to 1 person, the woman with embellished eyebrows added. Lin Feng smiled. He glanced at Lan Xinyan. Seeing her dazed expression, he immediately understood what the woman had just said. No need. We want a private hall, Lin Feng said. This was what he had planned before. It wasn't to participate in the auction, but for another important reason. Whoosh! The woman's eyes lit up. Lan Xinyan turned her head and looked at Lin Feng. She was instantly petrified. All right, a deposit of 1 billion Nemo dollars. The woman smiled and nodded. There are 88 private halls in total. If you were a day later, they would have been fully booked. Lin Feng didn't waste any time. He immediately took out 500 million Nemo dollars. A mountain of Nemo dollars appeared. Lan Xinyan felt suffocated. Every Nemo dollar in front of her represented 10,000 Nemo dollars. She hadn't even seen 100 Nemo dollars before, let alone a small mountain of 10,000 Nemo dollars. All of a sudden, Lan Xinyan felt a little dizzy and her vision blurred. On the other side, the woman with the embellished eyebrows furrowed. Here are 500 million Nemo dollars and a VIP jade from the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. Lin Feng took out a piece of pure white jade. It was pure and boundless. There was a rising sun on it, which meant that it was full of hope and vitality. It was a token that he got when he sold the 10 scrolls of throwing knives for the second time. With this jade, he could enjoy the highest level of VIP treatment in the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. He could also enjoy an 80% discount on any purchase. At the Dongling auction house, the deposit was only half. Whoosh! The woman with the embellished eyebrows immediately stood up, and her smiling expression became extremely respectful. Esteemed guest, this way please. Don't you need to count them? Lin Feng pointed at the Nemo dollars. The woman smiled professionally. VIP, you must be joking. How can I not trust you? Then lead the way. Lin Feng didn't refuse. The woman quickly opened the door and led the way. Lin Feng nudged the petrified Lan Xinyan. Let's go. Dongling Auction House, 3rd floor. This is the green floor, the private hall level. The woman respectfully handed over a token. Lin Feng reached out and took it. The number 60 was engraved on it. It represented the number of the private hall. Sweeping his gaze around, he could vaguely see figures in the magnificent hall. They were all martial artists who had booked the private hall level. If they weren't famous martial artists at the upper level of Qi Cloud, then they were powerful. From time to time, they would look at Lin Feng and Lan Xinyan curiously. They were puzzled, especially Lan Xinyan. Her strength was only at the 5th level of Qi Cyclone. There was a huge difference, but the more she was so, the more people stayed away from her and didn't dare to underestimate her. After all, it was normal for a martial artist at the upper level of Qi Cloud to be able to enter here. But what did it mean for a young girl at the 5th level of Qi Cloud to be able to enter here? Her background was quite strong. You can move freely in the main hall. Everything here is free. The woman explained in detail, including the cultivation room, martial arts field, and sleeping quarters. You can enter and use them as you wish. There are no hard and fast rules here. There are only 2 things. First, martial arts are strictly prohibited. Second, you are not allowed to enter the private halls of other guests. Lin Feng nodded. He entered the private hall marked with a number 60 and waved his hand. I understand. You can go back. Okay, then I'll take my leave. The woman bowed and left respectfully. To be continued. Chapter 496. Lin Feng looked around. Lan Xinyan was still in a daze, as if she was in a dream. Is this real? Big brother Lin, I'm not dreaming, right? Lan Xinyan pinched her cheeks and whimpered in pain. Her beautiful eyes instantly widened. Of course it's real. Lin Feng sat down casually, as expected of a private room. The style and decorations were luxurious and elegant. 500 million Nemo coins? No, 1 billion Nemo coins for a private room. This is too extravagant. Lan Xinyan muttered to herself. Suddenly, she thought of something and looked at Lin Feng. Oh my God, big brother Lin, how do you have so much money? Lin Feng smiled and said, now you believe that I didn't kill your brother Han Liang, right? Lan Xinyan's face turned red. Indeed, 500 million Nemo coins could buy many members of the Blue Moon clan. Was there a need to rob them? Actually, I already believed you. Lan Xinyan's voice was very soft. Ever since she was rescued from a cave, she had already believed Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng smiled faintly. He naturally wouldn't be calculative with Lan Xinyan. If he really wanted to, he wouldn't have saved her in the first place. The private room may seem luxurious, but it's actually free. Lin Feng said to Lan Xinyan, as long as you bid for any item in the auction, you can save 10 million Nemo coins. Isn't that right? Lan Xinyan's eyes lit up. Yes. Lin Feng smiled. What comes from sheep's back? This was just a gimmick of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. How many treasures could actually enter the auction? What was certain was that less than 1/10 of the total number of people would enter the auction. This meant that 90% of the people would have to pay a hefty price. Furthermore, it was precisely because everyone had this sort of mentality that the prices of the treasures in the auction would be raised. One had to admit that the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce was very smart. But why do I feel that something is wrong? Lan Xinyan muttered softly. Lin Feng smiled casually. Don't think so much. There's still 3 days. Let's make preparations. Lan Xinyan was confused. What kind of preparations? Lin Feng smiled and said, actually, the auction is only one of my goals. Xinyan, you should set your sights elsewhere. Where? Lan Xinyan was still confused. Pull strings and look for opportunities. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. This is the private floor. Only those who have paid a deposit of 1 billion Nemo dollars can enter. There are a total of 88 private rooms, which means there are close to 87 powers or Qi Cloud stage powerhouses. In the 33 continents, wealth is often linked to strength. To be able to pay 1 billion Nemo dollars as a deposit, it must be one of the top sects and clans in the 33 continents. If it's a Qi Cloud expert, it must be someone with a reputation and background. Basically, apart from us, the remaining 87 private rooms are all potential resources. Do you understand? Lan Xinyan's eyes widened. He stared blankly at Lin Feng for a long time before shaking his head. "You're really amazing, Big Brother Lin." Lin Feng smiled. "Go, you have 3 days. Don't be too impatient. Don't answer too many questions. Don't expose your background." "How should I answer when others ask?" Lan Xinyan asked hesitantly. "Just say that my father doesn't want to say," Lin Feng said. "The more secretive and mysterious you are, the higher your chances of success will be. As for the rest, act according to the circumstances." "I understand. Thank you, Big Brother Lin." Lan Xinyan smiled gratefully and ran out eagerly. Lin Feng felt relieved. For Lan Xinyan, the opportunity had come. Whether she could seize it or not depended on her luck. Man proposes, but God disposes. Nothing was certain, and nothing was not certain. This was true for Lan Xinyan, and it was the same for himself. However, his goals were much narrower than Lan Xinyan's. The Severing Saber Manor, which is ranked first in the 33 continents, recommended by President Sidhu, should come. The 100 refined Saber Valley, which is native to the Eastcom continent, will also come. Among the top 100 Saber sects, the 55th whose Saber clan is close to the Eastcom continent. The chances of them coming are higher. Lin Feng's goals were clear. As for the other Saber sects, they were either too far away or too weak. The 3 strongest sects in the 33 continents were the Immortal Pavilion, the Nirvana sect, and the Tao Enlightenment Valley. The Immortal Pavilion only accepted female disciples. The Tao Enlightenment Valley was far away, and the Nirvana sect had a huge grudge against him. These 3 could be eliminated. Moreover, with their status and power, they wouldn't be in the private hall. If they participated in the auction, they would definitely be on the top floor. The best Saber sects are the Blood Clan, which is ranked 4th in the 33 continents, and the Thunderbolt Palace, which is ranked 7th. Lin Feng knew that these 2 sects were the best choices. However, they were too far away from the Eastcom continent. Whether they would come or not was still a question. Even if they came to participate in the auction, they would probably be on the top floor and wouldn't have a chance to see them. Safe. This is also my main goal. The Severing Saber Manor. Lin Feng thought to himself. He proceeded step by step. 3 days were quite short. After absorbing all the true dragon saint energy stored in the dragon's sea pearl necklace, Lin Feng left the private hall and entered the main hall. This place was undoubtedly a small world. Martial artists could be seen everywhere in the hall, talking and chatting. Actually, it's not just us. It's also a good opportunity for the other factions to get to know each other. There's no harm in having more friends. Lin Feng quickly scanned through the hall. He almost instantly saw Lan Xinyan. At this moment, she was happily chatting with a few girls around her age. She covered her mouth and smiled, getting along well with them. Seeing Lan Xinyan's gaze, Lin Feng smiled and nodded at her. Unlike him, Lan Xinyan had a high chance of accomplishing her goal, because her range of choices was very wide. At 16 years old, she was still in the 5th level of the Qi Cyclone realm. Solitary Qi cloud experts wouldn't take her in, but many large factions were willing to take in the descendants of experts, as long as there was no enmity between them. One more disciple was nothing to those large factions, but they could have one more friend and one more network of experts. Why not? As for talent, as long as it wasn't too bad, it was fine. Even if it was bad, 1 billion Yima dollars could last until the end of the pregnancy. 10 billion Yima dollars could last until the end of the pregnancy. One was good, one was bad. Lan Xinyan gradually entered good state, but Lin Feng felt a little helpless. It wasn't that her talent wasn't good, or that she couldn't integrate, but that he couldn't find a suitable one. There were too few Saber factions, and even fewer powerful ones in the Nirvana realm. After looking around, Lin Feng declined several invitations, but he still couldn't find the main target. Absolute Saber Villa. They didn't come? Or are they on the top floor? Lin Feng looked around. After walking around, the number of women was greater than the number of men. There weren't that many experts who were really passionate about making connections. Many of them were cultivating in seclusion and didn't go out. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. I almost forgot. Female martial artists enjoyed gossiping and gossiping, but male martial artists liked. Chapter 497. In the arena, male martial artists loved to spar with each other. especially the martial artists in the private hall level. They were either powerful chi cloud martial artists or the elites of the various factions. They were all dragons among men. Making friends through martial arts was the most effective and concise way for male martial artists to interact with each other. Great, beautiful. Brother Lin's 7-kill sword technique is already at the peak of perfection. You're too kind. Brother Wei's plum blossom spear is more thorough. I only have a slight advantage in terms of weapon. It's not considered a win. Haha, Brother Lin is rarely so humble in the Slaying Sword Palace. Lin Feng walked into the arena. Thick battle intent permeated the martial arts arena. There were quite a few martial artists around the two battle stages. Lin Feng's gaze quickly swept across them. There are more than 30 people. There are 88 private halls. Each hall can hold at most 5 people. With an average of 4 people, there are a total of 35 people. Just this place alone is enough. Quite a lot. One had to know that excluding female martial artists and those who were cultivating in seclusion, the older generation was even less likely to come to the arena. The Slaying Sword Palace, and that's the Winter Mountain Range, ranked 10th in the 33 continents. Lin Feng recognized them at a glance. He had memorized all the famous sects in the 33 continents. All kinds of information were often very important. Lin Feng smiled. After wandering around the hall for a long time, he still hadn't seen a decent sect. However, seeing 2 of the top 10 sects in the 33 continents as soon as he entered the arena was undoubtedly a good start. I didn't expect the Slaying Sword Palace to come to this level. Lin Feng pondered for a moment before he suddenly realized, I forgot that there are only 8 VIP halls on the top floor of the Dongling Auction House. First come, first served. The top 10 sections. Super factions, Eastcom continents, local factions, rich and powerful families, hidden experts, etc. 8 wasn't enough at all. When he was making the reservation, the woman had already reminded him that the private halls would be fully booked if he was a day later. There were 88 private rooms in total, but there were only 8 VIP rooms for single guests. That was 10 times the difference. For the sake of face, the 8 VIP halls should have been reserved long ago. With this thought, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Who knows, we might encounter an even better opportunity than the absolute Saber Manor. Dongling Auction House. What did you say? A.O. Lin slammed the table and stood up, unable to restrain his anger. Dear guest, I'm truly very sorry. The auction house staff was so frightened that their faces turned pale. They kept bowing and apologizing. Do you know who we are? The guard leader, Li Jun, raised his sword. Open your dog eyes and look. This is the future leader of the God Nirvana sect, young sect master A.O. Lin. My Nirvana God sect is the second most powerful sect. You want us to stay in a private room? What a joke. I'm really sorry, young sect master. The manager of the auction house arrived late and wiped the sweat off his neck. He hurriedly apologized, because we only have a total of 8 VIP rooms. First come, first served. Now they have all been booked. Don't talk nonsense with me. 8 rooms. Can't you make a 9th one? A.O. Lin snorted. This. The manager was sweating profusely. His eyes darted around. How about this, young sect master? Why don't you stay in a private room first? We'll immediately arrange for someone to negotiate and see if any of the guests are willing to give up their VIP rooms. What do you think? A.O. Lin's gaze turned cold. He said arrogantly, You mean I have to beg them? No. The manager shook his head like a rattle drum. You're the young sect master. What kind of noble status do you have? I'm sure the other guests would love to know you. Very soon, I will be back with good news. Young sect master, please settle down in the private hall and rest for a while. A.O. Lin's expression eased. That's more like it. Then, he snorted and left with his group. Battle arena. Battle arena. One battle after another. The audience below was abuzz with discussion. Lin Feng stood in the middle of the 2 stages. From time to time, he glanced at the stage of Fetus Week on the left, but more often he stopped at the stage of First Week on the right. There, the 2 first week's experts were fighting fiercely. The fierce battle showed the profound meaning of the holy chi and the power of the Earth-grade holy treasure. Normally, he would never see such a scene. Just watching the first week's battle is worth the ticket price. Lin Feng was quite satisfied. Right now, even if he didn't have a mission, he would rather stay in the battle arena 24 hours a day to watch the first week's experts fight, understand the use of profound meaning, and use all kinds of strange holy treasures. These were all precious battle experiences. Lin Feng wasn't the only one. There were many young experts who had the same thoughts as him. Sometimes their eyes met and they nodded as a greeting. Compared to the bustle of the Lunar Week tournament, the Lunar Week tournament seemed solemn and dignified. Suddenly, "Next I'll go." A hearty voice sounded in his left ear. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Judging from the direction of the voice, Lin Feng clearly remembered that it was a man and a woman from the 100 Refining Saber Valley. Basically, he remembered all the warriors in the battle arena. There were no special rules in the battle arena. Everyone came as they pleased. If you wanted to fight, you could just go up on stage. For Lin Feng, his goal was very clear. It was only meaningful if he fought against warriors who used sabers. For example, fighting Chao Qi, a disciple of the Killing Sword Palace, was useless. He didn't want to join the Killing Sword Palace. But the 100 Refining Saber Valley was different. Although it was only ranked 98th in the 33 continents, it was one of the top 10 sects in the Eastern Peace Continent. It was also the highest-ranked saber sect in the Eastern Peace Continent. Senior Situ mentioned that although the 100 Refining Saber Valley isn't ranked high in the 33 continents, it has a foundation in the Nirvana world. Lin Feng nodded. Just as Senior Situ said, his current consideration wasn't the 33 continents, but the Nirvana world. In the Nirvana world, the 100 Refining Saber Valley's power was even greater than the rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. 100 Refining Saber Valley, Zhuliang. Ranked 988 on the Star's Brilliance list. Ranked 7 in Fetus Week. The youth smiled and cupped his hands. He gave a simple self-introduction in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Every warrior who went up on stage would introduce themselves. After all, they didn't know each other. Distinguishing one's strength was beneficial to the challenge. Whoosh! Everyone broke out in a heated discussion. The Killing Sword Palace disciple, Chao Qi, was also at rank 7 in Fetus Week, but he wasn't on the Star's Brilliance list. There were a total of 1,000 people on the Star's Brilliance list. More than 90% of them were experts of a younger generation. The remaining 10% were either early on, like Lin Feng, who had attained a perfect body early on, or had excellent bloodlines, super talent, etc. It could be said that experts of the Fetus Week who could be ranked on the Star's Brilliance list weren't simple. Everyone looked at each other. Many warriors were secretly estimating their own strength. After all, it wasn't good to be too strong. It was even worse if they were too weak. At this moment, a clear voice sounded. A figure instantly leaped onto the stage as everyone's gazes gathered. It was Lin Feng. Chapter 498. Thud. Lin Feng landed steadily on the arena. Almost instantly. Perfect body of Fetal Week. Amazing. The eyes of the young experts of Fetal Week shone brightly. Mixed with envy and jealousy, all sorts of expressions converged. Achieving a perfect body was the dream of every Fetal Week and Child Week expert. The St. Chi fusion at Child Week had a high chance of failure, but the biggest failure was the invisible failure. If one didn't achieve a perfect body before the age of 30, it would be very difficult later on. The sacred fruits that were born from the essence of heaven and earth were all extremely expensive. They couldn't be bought even with money. On the arena, Zhu Yang revealed a look of excitement and anticipation. Especially when Lin Feng's 9 Serenity Thunder Saber appeared in his hand, his blood boiled, and his heart seemed to be burning. Chinese, Lin Feng. Lin Feng immediately opened his mouth and hesitated slightly. First stage of Fetal Week. In fact, his true strength was at 5th stage of Qi Cloud, but it would be too shocking to say so. Now that he had a perfect body, even Child Week experts couldn't sense his true strength, so hiding it wasn't a problem. Moreover, his body strength was at 1st stage of Fetal Week. Even so, Everyone's jaws dropped. All the young warriors were amazed by Lin Feng's talent. He had achieved a perfect body at first stage of fetal week. There was a lot of discussion. After all, this could be said to be extremely rare on the Glorious Stars list. There was a consensus on the Nemo planet. The sooner one achieved a perfect body, the better their bloodline. However, after his opponent on the arena, Zhu Liang, recovered from his shock, his fighting spirit was extinguished. The difference between first stage of fetal week and seventh stage was too great. Brother Lin, Zhu Yang opened his mouth, a little embarrassed. Come. Lin Feng didn't waste any time and directly used the fifth stage of titanium gray body. Silver armor condensed on his body, flashing with clear titanium gray light. His body's strength had increased tenfold. In an instant, he rose from first stage of fetal week to fourth stage of fetal week, approaching fifth stage of fetal week. Whoosh! With the profound meaning of rapid light and the light boots, Lin Feng's speed greatly increased. Clang! The 9 Serenity Thunder saber revealed its brilliance. The thunder dragon behind Lin Feng roared. His aura was so strong that it covered the entire stage. There was no need to waste time explaining. Strength did not depend on words. Lin Feng knew his own strength. Against an ordinary rank 7 martial artist, it could be said that he could win. True combat strength, to be able to reach the 8th level of embryonic week. But the opponent this time was not an ordinary rank 7 expert, but an opponent ranked 988 on the Glorious Stars list. He was equipped with an Earth rank holy treasure and had excellent qualities. He came from a famous family and was definitely a proud son of heaven in the 100 refining Saber Valley. The 3rd level of the Dongling Auction House was a place where ordinary geniuses of the embryonic weak realm were not qualified to enter. All right, Zhu Liang's fighting spirit was reignited. He didn't underestimate his opponent at all. This was because the young man in front of him, who was about the same age as his sister, gave him a heavy sense of oppression. Clang! The saber in his hand flew. Waves of white light appeared on Zhu Liang's skin, and his body seemed to turn ethereal. Fight! Pung! Pung! On the battle stage, the saber light exploded. The battle between the two young experts was as fast as lightning. Waves of white light appeared on the battle stage as the holy chi of light collided. Lin Feng originally wanted to hide some of his strength and fight Zhu Liang to a standstill. This way, it would be easier to make friends. But then he realized there was no need for that. Powerful, Lin Feng was forced into a dangerous situation. The 9 Serenity Thunder saber attacked and defended as he retreated. No wonder he can be ranked on the Glorious Stars list. His bloodline power is much stronger than Xian Yan's. The Thunder Dragon scripture was activated. Lin Feng's true dragon, Saint Power, exploded. With his superior holy chi and skilled combat experience, he was not at a disadvantage for the time being. The two sides exchanged blows, and it was very lively. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhu Liang's body became whiter. Speed, but it was getting faster and faster, completely suppressing Lin Feng. Brother, you can't do it. Below, a natural and unrestrained woman dressed in white was extremely excited. Her snow-white skin was so white that it was like a dream. It was said that a white skin covered 3 ugly things. Although the woman in white couldn't be considered a peerless beauty, her facial features were clear and complemented by her flawless white skin. She was quite pleasing to the eye. She was Zhu Liang's sister, Juyu. The 100 refining Saber Valley is really something this time. You have 2 talents in one sect. Ta Xiaowei smiled and said. He was the disciple of the Winter Mountain Ridge who had fought with Chao Qi of the Killing Sword Palace. He's much stronger than us siblings. Juyu's bright smile was like a blooming snowflake, causing Ta Xiaowei to stare blankly. Juyu said, "Look at him, Lin Feng of the Chinese. He is only at the fetus 1st level and has already forced my brother to this point. If he is at the same level as my brother, there is no need to fight." Ta Xiaowei was envious. "I have heard of you too, but I have never heard of Lin Feng of the Chinese." "Me too." Juyu's snow-white fingers touched her soft lips. Logically speaking, a perfect body at the fetus first level should be listed in the Glorious Stars list. Ta, Xiaowei nodded. In my opinion, he should have just broken through the Qi cloud stage and awakened the perfect body. It might have been recently, which is why the Glorious Stars list has not been published. But with the 8 Trigrams Palace's intelligence, they will know about it earlier than us. Brother Lin Feng will definitely be listed in the Glorious Stars list at the beginning of next month. Zhu Yu laughed. We have another opponent now. Ta Xiaowei laughed. Yes, there's still half a year. By then, Brother Lin Feng's strength will be several times stronger than now. There is no other way. Zhu Yu smiled sweetly. I really envy him. He achieved the perfect body so early. I'm still far from my brother. Zhu Yu's snow-white fingers touched her chin. However, he should not be my opponent now. Ta Xiaowei nodded. Brother Ling's light, speed body's bloodline power is not inferior to the perfect body. Zhu Yu smiled brightly and waved her white arms. She shouted like a little girl, Brother, do your best. Ta Xiaowei smiled. At this moment, the situation on the stage changed. The appearance of the blue flash butterfly caused Zhu Liang, who originally had the upper hand in terms of speed, to pause for a moment. That moment of weakness was caught. Violent lightning energy, combined with the mysteries, Lin Feng switched from defense to offense. His mirror of light revealed its might. Z, Z, Z. The lightning dragon swallowed the clouds and spewed out mist. The intense thunder turned into Lin Feng's attack. Zhu Liang specialized in the profound meaning of light and won with speed. But in a battle of pure strength, he was inferior. Although he blocked the first attack, Lin Feng's attacks were interlocked. The profound meaning of light and profound meaning of darkness appeared. The endless saint power restrained Zhu Liang, causing him to be even more fearful. He retreated step by step. Very quickly. I lost. Zhu Liang was sweating profusely. The illusory white light on his body had dimmed. He smiled bitterly. Everyone in the surroundings was shocked. Zhu Yu opened her mouth slightly and covered it with her snow-white hands. Chapter 499. You let me win. Lin Feng's figure flashed. Extending his hand, Zhu Liang smiled bitterly and was pulled up by Lin Feng. Although the action was small, it represented a form of friendship. Zhu Liang was an upright man and couldn't help but praise. Brother Lin, great saber art. In a spar, victory and defeat were common. What was important was what one could learn and comprehend from a spar. Both Lin Feng and Zhu Liang benefited a lot from this battle. In terms of saber art, Brother Zhu is stronger. Lin Feng wanted to build a good relationship with Zhu Liang. The truth was that his saber art was one level lower than Zhu Liang's. Zhu Liang's saber art had reached the 10th level of minor completion. Everyone has their own strengths. Zhu Liang said with admiration. Brother Lin not only used the profound intent of thunder to perfection, but also used the 7 purple lightning strikes with the help of pure Thunder Saint Qi. It is a perfect combination. May I ask if Brother Lin is a disciple of the Thunder Saber sect? Those who practiced the saber naturally knew about the Thunder Saber sect. It was a powerful sect ranked 3rd in the 33 continents and was famous for its Thunder Saber. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. I have never been to the Thunder Saber sect. Then Brother Lin. Zhu Liang was puzzled. He felt that it was inappropriate and kept quiet. After all, it was tantamount to prying into someone's privacy. Lin Feng said, I learned the 7 purple lightning strikes by chance. He didn't say it clearly, and there was no need to hide it. The crowd was in a heated discussion and didn't care that Lin Feng wasn't from the Thunder Saber sect, but had learned the 7 purple lightning strikes. After all, no matter how powerful the sect was, there would always be secrets of the hard arts and martial arts. Moreover, the 7 purple lightning strikes wasn't a profound saber art. It was at most a basic saber art in the Thunder Saber sect. What really shocked the crowd was Lin Feng's combat strength. He defeated a rank 7 purple lightning strike opponent in the rank 7 purple lightning strike, especially Zhu Liang, who was ranked in the Glorious Stars list. It was terrifying, such a terrifying increase in physique. That silver light should be a heaven-ranked treasure, right? 100%. Otherwise, How could a rank 7 purple lightning strike have a body comparable to a rank 4 purple lightning strike? And that blue butterfly. He knows illusion attacks. Lin Feng didn't care about what people were saying. Now, he had nothing to hide. On the contrary, he was revealing more of his strength and potential. It was more beneficial to him. Leaving the dueling platform together with Zhu Liang, their age and strength were similar. Adding on the fact that they had gotten to know each other through fighting, they quickly became familiar with each other. This is my younger sister, Zhu Yu. Zhu Liang smiled as he introduced. My younger sister is 20 years old, but her strength is stronger than mine. Lin Feng stared at the pure, white-robed lady in front of him. Zhu Liang's skin was already white enough, but compared to Zhu Yu's, it paled in comparison. A pair of beautiful eyes looked over and sized him up curiously. Lin Feng was natural and unrestrained. He stretched out his hand and said, "Hello, I'm Lin Feng. Call me Little Yu." Zhu Yu smiled like a snowflake and extended her white jade hand in a friendly manner. Ta Xiaowei, disciple of the Winter Mountain Range. Ta Xiaowei introduced himself with a long spear on his back, his eyes burning with passion. "Hello." Lin Feng recognized him. As soon as he entered the martial arts arena, the first martial artist he saw was him. "Brother Lin, if there's a chance, let's spar." Ta Xiaowei was also a battle maniac. "You're not his opponent," Zhu Yu reminded with a smile. "So what? As long as Brother Lin doesn't think I'm weak, it's fine." Ta Xiaowei had a free and easy personality. He shrugged his shoulders and said, "Anyway, I've fought 3 matches and haven't won a single one. What's one more loss?" "Of course not. The most important thing is to have fun." Lin Feng smiled. "Moreover, Brother Ta's spear art is profound and unique. It doesn't seem as simple as just fusing profound intent." Ta Xiaowei's eyes lit up. Brother Lin has good eyesight. To be valued by someone, especially by a genius expert, Ta Xiaowei was pleasantly surprised. Fused with the Tao of a race. Zhu Yu smiled. Ta Xiaowei's eyes widened. "You even know this?" "I only succeeded by 1%. Zhu Liang smiled. "My younger sister is ranked number 696 on the Glorious Stars list. She's much stronger than me, her brother. She's knowledgeable and multi-talented. She's good at all kinds of bloodlines. She knows Saint treasures and martial arts like the back of her hand." "Brother, you're exaggerating." Zhu Yu's beautiful eyes fell on Lin Feng. "I don't know about the silver lines that Brother Lin displayed just now." Lin Feng knew that Zhu Yu was referring to the titanium grade body, but there was no way to explain it. There weren't any neo-martial arts on Planet Nemo. "Think of it as a secret technique," Lin Feng said with a smile. "Secret technique? Bloodline power?" The discussion continued. The martial art competition was also in full swing. Observing, discussing, comprehending, turning it into their own, improving bit by bit. Many martial artists in the competition grounds wouldn't miss such a great opportunity. Some even sat on the ground and started comprehending on their own. Normally, they were all unique geniuses in their respective factions. They couldn't even find someone to spar with. But here they were at the right time. Although there were only 3 days, if they used it well, their strength would increase by a level. The absolute saber manner didn't come? Lin Feng was already familiar with Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang. Of course, there was also the friendly Ta Xiaowei. The 4 of them gathered together and chatted from time to time. It was very harmonious. The competition grounds were all like this, in groups of 2s and 3s. "I haven't seen them," Zhu Liang muttered. "Brother, and I just arrived." Zhu Yu looked at Ta Xiaowei. "Brother Xiaowei, do you know?" Ta Xiaowei frowned and scratched his head. "I heard from my master that the absolute saber manner should be participating in this auction. Accompanying them is the famous bamboo hat of the younger generation. But I haven't seen him." "Bamboo hat?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "What an interesting name." Zhu Yu covered her mouth and laughed. "He admires those lone swordsmen, so he likes to wear bamboo hats. Over time, he got this nickname." "I see." Lin Feng nodded. This absolute saber manners bamboo hat was quite unique. Zhu Liang's gaze turned cold. "Actually, the one I want to challenge the most is the bamboo hat. I heard that the absolute saber manner saber techniques are known for their speed. I wonder which one is faster." "I also want to." Lin Feng said softly. What he wanted was to enter the absolute saber manner. That's right, Brother Lin, for what you said just now. You haven't joined a sect? Zhu Yang's eyes lit up. Beside him, Zhu Yu's beautiful eyes also lit up. Not yet. Lin Feng nodded. Most of the time, a clan and a sect didn't clash. Especially ordinary small clans, like the Blue Moon clan, would choose to join the Shao Xiang sword sect. For example, Zhu Yu and Zhu Liang were from the Guangzhou race. That's great. Zhu Liang was overjoyed. I wonder if Brother Lin is interested in joining my 100 refining Saber Valley? In the Eastern Peace Continent, there is no saber sect stronger than the 100 refining Saber Valley. If Brother Lin joins us, we can participate in the Battle of Brilliance in Nirvana World half a year later and make a name for the 100 refining Saber Valley. Battle of Brilliance in Nirvana World half a year later? Lin Feng sneered. Before he could respond, the battle arena's door was suddenly pushed open with a crash, attracting everyone's attention. Lin Feng also turned his head and looked over. In an instant, he saw a familiar figure and face. His eyes suddenly widened. How could it be him? Lin Feng's expression changed. Chapter 500. Chinese. Just by listening to the name, I can tell that it's not a very good race. They couldn't even stop the Monster Beast King. They deserve to be exterminated. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The scenes of that day were still vivid in his mind. Lin Feng clearly remembered A.O. Lin's appearance. He had the arrogance of someone who came from a prestigious family and was a cut above others. Back then, he was nothing more than an ant in front of A.O. Lin, who was at the third stage of the embryonic triad. In front of A.O. Jianhui, the sect master of the Divine Nirvana sect wasn't even worth a grain of sand. For the sake of survival, he had no choice but to consume the essence with soul-severing pill. If it wasn't for Xiao Yun's assistance, his soul would have dispersed long ago. Lin Feng remembered the past grudges in his heart. A.O. Lin was secondary. The real culprit was A.O. Jianhui. Senior Bai Yun had died at his hands, and he and Little Yun had nearly lost their lives as well. Kindness must be repaid and hatred must be avenged. But right now, I'm not A.O. Jianhui's match. I'm far from the Nirvana sect's match. Lin Feng knew very well that according to President Sidhu, the three major sects of the 33 continents, Immortal Pavilion, Nirvana Sect, and Enlightenment Valley, were quite powerful in the Nirvana world. At the same time, he was also very famous in the 33 continents. It was on a completely different level from the Xiaoxiang sword sect. If A.O. Jianhui wanted to kill him alone, it would be a piece of cake. I can't let him find out. Lin Feng's heart sank. Once A.O. Lin found out, it meant that he would know that Yi Futian didn't die that day, and it would be easy for him to figure out that Yi Futian had lied to them that day. Even if they were not sure if he knew Xiao Yun's whereabouts, with A.O. Jianhui's ruthless character, he would rather kill the wrong person than let him go. It's the Nirvana sect. Zhu Yang's eyes lit up. Young sect master, A.O. Lin, Ta Xiaowei called out softly. Why are people from the Nirvana God sect here? Zhu Yu's curiosity was piqued. This was the same question that all the other cultivators wanted to know. The God Nirvana sect didn't lack status, strength, or wealth, so why would they come to a private room? Lin Feng's expression did not change, but his heartbeat sped up. Fortunately, his back happened to be facing Lin Feng. He moved his feet lightly and adjusted his direction. In terms of strength, he didn't fear A.O. Lin at all. However, once they were recognized, the consequences would be quite severe, especially since they did not know if A.O. Jianhui was also here. This place sure is lively. A.O. Lin laughed. Behind him, Li Jun and the others followed suit. A.O. Lin quickly scanned the arena, but he did not notice Lin Feng. After all, he had only met Lin Feng once. Moreover, Lin Feng had already died that day. A.O. Lin did not take Lin Feng seriously at all. At this time, the martial arts stage had just finished a fight and was empty. A.O. Lin was also in a good mood. He leaped onto the battle stage and laughed. It's been a long time since we last sparred. Landing on the ground, A.O. Lin's eyes lit up. A.O. Lin of the Nirvana God sect. Fourth stage, feat his fourth stage. His loud and clear voice echoed throughout the arena. For a moment, All the martial artists were stunned. The Nirvana God sect was the second most powerful sect in the 33 continents. A.O. Lin, as the junior sect master of the Nirvana God sect, was even more impressive. If it was a Taoist from the Enlightenment Valley, the fairies of the Celestial Pavilion would not care, but the other sects would undoubtedly measure their strength. In particular, they had heard that A.O. Lin was narrow-minded. If he won, he would not gain anything. If he lost, it would be meaningless. A.O. Lin was at the 4th stage. However, he had 2 heaven-grade sacred treasures. When he used his full strength, his combat power was comparable to a 9th stage fetus. Heaven-grade sacred treasures were powerful even in the 1st stage. Who in the entire arena had a heaven-grade sacred treasure? Swish, swish, swish. Everyone couldn't help but look at Lin Feng. The martial artists present, more than 90% of them had already fought once. For example, Chao Hua of the Slaying Sword Palace and Ta Xiaowei of the Winter Mountain Ridge had been on the stage more than 3 times. Everyone knew who A.O. Lin was, and they all knew who was the most suitable candidate to fight A.O. Lin. Lin Feng, a perfect body at the 1st stage of fetus, being able to defeat Zhu Liang, who was ranked 988 on the Stars of Brilliance list, was enough to show his strength. More importantly, Lin Feng was also recognized as the only person who had a heaven-grade sacred treasure. Oh no, all eyes were on him. Lin Feng was complaining in his heart. He naturally guessed what everyone was thinking. After A.O. Lin jumped onto the stage, he turned sideways and used Zhu Liang's body to hide. He lowered his head and kept a low profile. He was waiting for an opportunity to leave. However, all eyes were on him. It was as though he was placed in the middle of a furnace. Swish! Another gaze was on him. Lin Feng's heart tightened. A.O. Lin. Following the others' gazes, A.O. Lin also looked at Lin Feng. However, he only saw half of his side profile. He frowned slightly. He seemed to have seen him somewhere before, but he could not recall where. To A.O. Lin, Lin Feng's existence that day was too insignificant. Moreover, he would not associate an ordinary person at the Qi Cyclone realm with a genius at the 1st stage of fetus. However, indeed, he looked very familiar. Hey! A.O. Lin frowned and stared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's heart sank. He felt a chill down his spine. However, he was still unable to escape from the fetters of fate. Many thoughts appeared in his mind. Lin Feng was not a person who was afraid of trouble. If there was really no way out, he would just fight to the death. At this moment, voila, the door of the martial arts arena was pushed open again. In an instant, everyone's attention was attracted. 2 figures, one black and one blue, entered. One of them had blade-like eyebrows. He was wearing a black cloak. His eyes were bright, and there was a thunderbolt on his forehead. Only half of the other youth's face could be seen. It was because he was wearing a bamboo hat. It's the bamboo hat of the absolute Saber Manor. The one beside him looks very familiar. That mark is the Thunderbolt Palace? Ignorant and inexperienced. You don't even know Black Shadow Saber, Wang Liao. He is an expert at the 9th stage of fetus and is ranked 137th on the Stars of Brilliance list. Absolute Saber Manor, Bamboo Hat. Thunderbolt Palace, Wang Liao. The appearance of 2 experts on the Stars of Brilliance list of the younger generation immediately caused a commotion. Especially Thunderbolt Palace's Wang Liao. His reputation was not inferior to A.O. Lin's. A.O. Lin relied on his sect and the reputation of his heaven-tier sacred treasure. However, Wang Liao relied on his true strength. 9th stage of fetus and a perfect body. Thunderbolt Palace was also a major force ranked 7th among the top 10 sects. In an instant, there was a series of exclamations. A.O. Lin's attention on the martial arts arena immediately shifted from Lin Feng to the 2 of them, especially Wang Liao, who made A.O. Lin jealous. The 2 of them were often compared. When enemies met, their eyes would be especially red. Lin Feng secretly heaved a sigh of relief. The shift of A.O. Lin's attention made him feel better. His gaze landed on the 2 figures that were slowly walking over. Lin Feng's eyes flickered. He was delighted. He originally thought that it was good enough to meet the absolute Saber Manor. But he did not expect that. It was even better. Thunderbolt Palace. Lin Feng stared straight at Wang Liao. Senior Sidhu had mentioned it before. It was a saber sect that was also quite powerful in the Nirvana world. It was second only to the Blood Clan that was ranked 4th. Chapter 501. Wang Lai, do you have the guts to fight me? A.O. Lin roared. A.O. Lin's confidence in challenging a rank 9 fetus as a rank 4 fetus, 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 4 Fei Wang Liao was the second son of Wang Chia, the helmsman of Thunderbolt Hall. There's too much of a gap between our realms. I won't win honorably. Wang Liao's words were sharp as he rejected decisively. He didn't give A.O. Lin any face. Li Jun and the others breathed a sigh of relief. If Wang Tuo really accepted the challenge and A.O. Lin lost, the divine Nirvana sect's reputation would be tarnished. A.O. Lin's eyes spat fire. What did you say? Ha! Suddenly, a hearty laugh rang out as a bamboo hat jumped onto the stage. Brother A.O., if you don't mind, how about this Chi experience the Nirvana God Sect secret techniques? Chi Do from a Severing Blade Manor stepped onto the stage, causing a commotion among the crowd. Although he was not as famous as Wang Wei, he was still an expert ranked 777 on the Glorious Stars list. In terms of strength and reputation, he was superior to Zhu Yang. All right, A.O. Lin didn't stand on ceremony. He unsheathed his tricolored phantom sword. The 3 colors of black, white, and gray blended together as if they were alive. As soon as it was unsheathed, it caused the space to vibrate continuously. The bamboo hat's eyes brightened and a white light flashed. In an instant, a saber appeared in his hand. What a fast draw! Lin Feng's heart trembled. Previously, he had also practiced Fu Hongshue's saber move, Enmity, so he had a deep understanding of it. The saber was like a ray of light, so fast that there wasn't even an afterimage. Just like what Zhu Yang had said, the bamboo hat saber was extremely fast, and his saber skills were even better than Zhu Yang's. Level 10 Mastery. Lin Feng nodded. On Earth, his saber skills were outstanding, but on the Nemo planet, he was far behind. These people had powerful bloodlines and had practiced the saber systematically since they were young. The experts of the younger generation who had come into contact with complex and profound saber moves were generally at a higher level than him. Over and over again, he had been at a disadvantage because of his saber moves. Fortunately, he had inherited the battle prowess of the Overlord from Senior Xiangyu, allowing him to walk on a path of unconventional sword techniques. Although he could not surpass the realm of sword techniques, at least he would not be suppressed. Battle. I need more battles to stimulate the improvement of my saber technique. Lin Feng knew very well that it was very important to make up for his weaknesses. Every 3 realms of his saber technique increased by 1 level. Even if breaking through to the 10th level was difficult, reaching the peak of the 9th level was something that could be achieved in a short period of time. But now, Lin Feng glanced at the stage. Sparks flew in all directions, and the battle intent was strong. Soon, a great battle would erupt. Lin Feng glanced at the Absolute Saber Manor's bamboo hat, and then glanced at Wang Liao, who was watching the battle from the side. Lin Feng felt that it was a pity. Even though the opportunity was right in front of him, he had no choice but to leave first. If A.O. Lin recognized him, the consequences would be dire. Brother Zhu, Xiao Yu, Xiao Wei, my sister is still waiting for me. I'll take my leave first. Lin Feng bade farewell to the 3 of them. Ah, the 3 of them exclaimed in surprise. You don't want to watch such an exciting battle? Ta Xiao Wei was extremely puzzled. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head. He looked at Zhu Yang and Zhu Yu. If the two of you are free, why don't you come to Private Hall 60? These 2 days, I might not have time to come to the stage again. After passing this hurdle, he naturally wouldn't take any more risks. Sparring could be done at any time. As for the Absolute Saber Manor and Thunderbolt Palace, he would have to think of another way. All right, us siblings will definitely visit. Zhu Liang smiled and nodded. Jiu also smiled knowingly. From their point of view, Lin Feng was obviously tempted by the proposal to join the 100 Refining Saber Valley. Otherwise, why would he make such an invitation? As for Lin Feng's sudden departure, the two of them didn't have much suspicion. After all, there were many martial artists coming and going. After bidding farewell and leaving their contact information, Lin Feng quietly left. At this moment, the battle on the stage had already been ignited. Ao Lin and Bamboo Hat were like two sharp needles against each other. Their strengths were not ordinary. Lin Feng's eyes slightly widened. He also felt his blood boiling. However, this wasn't a place to stay for long. When everyone's eyes were on him, Lin Feng turned and left. Oh, Wang Wei looked at Lin Feng's departing figure and was somewhat surprised. From his point of view, even if he wanted to leave, he should at least wait until this exciting battle ended. However, this youth, perfect body, Wang Wei was suddenly stunned. Chi Cloud stage? It can't be. His expression instantly changed. As they were both perfect bodies, Wang Wei could naturally sense Lin Feng's true strength. Although he didn't see Lin Feng's battle just now, but a perfect body at the Chi Cloud stage was extremely terrifying. If a perfect body at Fetus Week was 1 in 10,000 among a group of geniuses, then a perfect body at the Chi Cloud stage was 1 in 10,000 and then 1 in 10,000. Right now, there was only one on the Brilliant Stars list. Goddess Wakaman, 9th stage at Zizhou, ranked first on the Brilliant Stars list. Pump. In the arena, a violent and shocking sound immediately woke Wang Wei up. He looked at the arena in shock. Saber and the Bamboo Hat had the upper hand. Suddenly, Wang Wei recalled something and turned to look at the door. It was empty. Just now, did I sense wrongly? No, it's really the Chi Cloud stage. A perfect body at the Chi Cloud stage. Wang Wei thought hard. The names of those with perfect bodies at Fetus Week appeared on the Brilliant Stars list. They matched up one by one, but they didn't match up with the youth from before. Stupid. Wang Wei cursed inwardly. Instead of thinking hard here, wouldn't it be better to chase after him and ask? Whoosh! Almost instantly, Wang Wei broke through the door, even though the arena was in a frenzy. Ao Lin was being repelled. When he saw Wang Wei leaving for the corner of his eye, he almost fainted from anger. His eyes were burning with anger as he roared furiously. Phew! Lin Feng let out a long breath. The moment he left the arena, his hanging heart calmed down. The clanging of weapons in the arena lingered in his ears. Lin Feng didn't stay for even a moment. In an instant, he flashed past and left directly. To avoid trouble, returning to the private hall was the right thing to do. Even if Ao Lin wanted to find him, he wouldn't know where to start. Besides, he was only suspicious at most. Right after Lin Feng left, Lin Feng's expression changed. Bam! The door of the arena was knocked open. An anxious figure in a black cloak appeared. There was a bolt of lightning on his forehead. Wang Wei anxiously looked for the figure he saw just now. However, the private hall was different from the open space. There were obstacles and buildings everywhere. It was easier said than done to find someone. Nothing. Nothing. Still nothing. Wang Wei's chest rose and fell. His eyes changed. He frowned and couldn't help but clench his fist. If it's really a perfect body at the Chi Cloud stage, it's amazing, especially there doesn't seem to be any sex symbol on his armor. This is no small matter. I'd rather make a mistake than let go of any hope. Wang Wei nodded secretly. For a sect, talents were quite important. Go back and report to Martial Uncle immediately. Wang Wei didn't dare to delay and left immediately. Chapter 502. Lin Feng had already returned to the private hall. The private halls had absolute security, including the information of the guests during the auction. No one could enter the other halls without permission. As the highest standard auction hall, the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce spent a lot of money to build it. Every hall was completely isolated from aura sensing. Even the Nirvana sect came to this floor. As expected, the VIP halls on the top floor are all booked. Lin Feng thought. He wasn't surprised by the appearance of the ultimate Saber Manor, but the appearance of the Thunderbolt Palace was a surprise. Compared to the ultimate Saber Manor, the Thunderbolt Palace was superior in both the 33 continents and the Nirvana world. Their ranking was even higher than the strongest Slaying Sword Palace in the Eastcom continent. Although I can't show up, Xin Yin can. Lin Feng planned in his heart. If Xin Yin could find Wang Liao or Bamboo Hat, she might be able to invite them. If they could reach an agreement, he could join the Thunderbolt Palace or the ultimate Saber Manor. If not, there's still the 100 refining Saber Valley. Lin Feng smiled. Although he had a good impression of Zhu Liang and Zhu Yu, if he had a choice, he would naturally choose the best. Xin Yin should be busy now. I wonder what kind of friend she can make. Xin Yin was different from him. Relatively speaking, her talent was much worse. But the good thing was that she was young, had the creation space, and had a groundless identity. Plus, she was gentle and approachable. It shouldn't be difficult for her to find a sect that could accept her. After all, there was a wide range of choices. Unlike him, who had to consider the Nirvana world, Xin Yin only had to consider the 33 continents. Even the weakest of the factions that could stay in the private hall was much stronger than the Xiaoxiang sword sect. I hope she has good luck, Lin Feng said in his heart. It's still early. Cultivate. Sitting cross-legged, Lin Feng took out the Saint Crystal and activated the 5 refinements heart diagram. He cultivated both Saint Power and Saint Qi at the same time to maximize the efficiency. The so-called perfect body is the martial spirit. It's the 3 meridian diagrams that frame the body. In terms of the soul, it's a stable iron triangle. Cultivating the Earth's soul and talent soul at the same time will indeed double the time, but this should be the right path. Lin Feng thought to himself. He sensed his body. The first map was the map of the spirit of the Earth, which connected the 5 martial spirits to form the source of Holy Qi. The second map was the map of the talent soul, connecting Tian Chong and Ling Wei. It condensed into the source of the sacred power in the sea of consciousness. As for the third map, when the 7 martial spirits were fully formed, they resonated and connected with each other. Exuding extreme profoundness, it was like a diagram of the starry sky. The transmission of energy was like the evolution of a formation. It was extremely profound and went straight to the heart, which was the profound and mysterious soul of wisdom. If one cultivates only one Tao, then there's only one meridian diagram. But if one cultivates 2 Taos at the same time, there are 3 of them. Although Lin Feng didn't know what the 3rd meridian map was used for, what he saw when he broke through to the perfect body was still clear to him. The deep and mysterious black hole vortex in the wisdom soul was filled with attraction. It was like a key that contained the ultimate secrets of the body. If it can be fully awakened, it will definitely be a terrifying force. Private Hall 83. What? A perfect body at the Qiyun stage. Shun Qian, who was drinking tea, spat out his tea and stood up abruptly. His eyes widened. Tuer, are you serious? How is that possible? The beautiful woman frowned and put down her teacup. Wang Tue nodded seriously. There's a 60 to 70% chance. I'm not very sure either. I met him at the arena. That youth was about 20 years old. Back then, A.O. Lin and the Bamboo Hat were sparring. I found it strange when he suddenly left, so I took a second look and realized that he had a perfect body, but it was only for an instant. By the time I came to my senses, he was already gone. Wang Tue was filled with regret. Shun Qian's breathing quickened. What happened after that? Wang Tue sighed. I was about 2 to 3 seconds slow. I hurriedly chased after him, but he had already disappeared. Pa! Shun Qian slapped his thigh and snorted. The beautiful woman nodded and pondered for a moment. So, you only sensed it for an instant and were unable to determine if he was at the Qiyun stage. Yes. Wang Tue nodded. But one thing is certain. He is definitely a perfect body. Furthermore, there are no logos on his armor. It doesn't seem like He belongs to any sect. Swoosh, swoosh. Shen Qian and the beautiful woman's eyes lit up instantly as they looked at each other. A newly advanced perfect body, Shen Qian asserted directly. As a level 9 Qiyun, he was in charge of Thunderbolt Hall's participation in the auction. He had a lot of experience. Even if he is not at the Qiyun stage and is in the fetus week, he is still a rare treasure. The beautiful woman nodded, and her gaze fell on Wang Tue. How many people know about this? Wang Tue pondered for a moment. After a long time, he said, "It is not difficult to distinguish if he is a perfect body, but I am afraid that I am the only one in the arena who can sense his strength level." The difference between a perfect body at the Qiyun stage and a perfect body at the fetus week was huge. Tue returned to the arena immediately and find out all the information about that youth. The more the better. Shen Qian quickly made a decision. Remember not to be too abrupt. Beat around the bush and do not arouse suspicion. Understand, Uncle Master. Wang Tue nodded. Yinling, go to the hall and find out more information. I will find the person in charge of the auction and see if he can provide me with a list. Shen Qian quickly arranged. Okay, let's split up. The beautiful woman nodded. In the arena. Damn it. Ao Lin was furious. Although he had won the battle with the bamboo hat, he had been injured. Furthermore, he had won by a fluke. He had relied on the heaven-defying power of a heaven-grade sacred treasure to barely defeat a fetus weak rank 8 opponent. This made Ao Lin feel ashamed. Everyone knew that the bamboo hat was much weaker than Wang Tue. Just from the ranking on the Glorious Stars list, one could see the difference. He was immediately inferior to Wang Tue. What infuriated him the most was that Wang Tue did not take him seriously at all. He had already disappeared and did not take him seriously. Wang Tue, just you wait. I will definitely buy it at this auction and break through to a perfect body. Half a year later, at the Battle of Glorious Stars in the Nirvana world, I will ruthlessly defeat you in front of everyone. Gritting his teeth, Ao Lin's heart was burning with anger. His jealousy and resentment towards Wang Tue had not been there for a day or two. After descending from the arena, Ao Lin casually glanced around and suddenly felt that something was wrong. He seemed to have forgotten something. Whoosh! Ao Lin's eyes lit up. He swept his gaze across the crowd in the arena again and was secretly alarmed. When did that kid leave? I think I've seen him somewhere before. Yes, I must have seen him before. A side profile appeared in his mind. Ao Lin racked his brains and naturally had an extraordinary memory. Figures flashed across his mind as memories kept flipping. Suddenly, Ao Lin's body trembled. No way. Ao Lin's eyes widened as his expression changed. Chapter 503. Impossible. How could it be him? Ao Lin frowned. He thought of the descendant of the small tribe in the Jinglan mountain range. That Chi Cyclone youth had died to the essence with soul-severing pill. He and his father had witnessed it with their own eyes. It cannot be fake. He did not believe that a mere Chi Cyclone kid could withstand the essence with soul-severing pills, soul-devouring poison. Impossible. It must be because of the similarity. Besides, how could a descendant of a remote tribe be qualified to come here? Ao Lin immediately rejected the idea. Although this was not the top floor of the auction house, those who could stay in the private hall floor were also famous factions of various continents. Just the deposit of 1 billion Nemo dollars was not something an ordinary faction could afford. Ao Lin could not help but sneer at himself. Have I gone crazy thinking about the five-tailed snow fox? Born with an extreme body, perfect snow aptitude, Ao Lin's eyes were filled with greed and desire. Damn that five-tailed snow fox. How dare she self-destruct her natal core? Ao Lin was furious when he thought of the trip to Baiyun residence. He was so close to obtaining the five-tailed snow fox's pure natal core to change his aptitude. He was only a step away from the perfect body. If he could obtain the five-tailed snow fox's natal core, his perfect body would be completed, and his aptitude would increase. In time, he would enter the top 100 of the Glorious Stars list. Although he could not compare to a supreme woman like Goddess Wakaman, he could suppress his nemesis. Wang Liao, Glorious Stars list, ranked 137. Oh, just as he was letting his imagination run wild, the door to the arena was suddenly pushed open again. A.O. Lin's eyes lit up when he looked over. He saw the figure he hated to the bone enter again. The black cloak was extremely eye-catching. It was Wang Liao. He left and came back. What happened? Although A.O. Lin's aptitude was not as good as Wang Liao's, it did not mean that he was stupid. A.O. Lin was suspicious and suppressed the hatred in his heart. His eyes were fixed on Wang Liao. Private Hall 60. Kacha. The sound of the door made Lin Feng open his eyes. The luster of the Saint Crystal in his hand dimmed and cracked from the middle. Lin Feng ended his cultivation of the 5 refinements heart diagram and stood up. When he walked out of the hall, the first thing he saw was a joyous Lan Xinyan. When she saw him, she smiled sweetly as if she had just seen a relative. Big Brother Lin, quite a few sects have sent me invitations. How many? Lin Feng sneered. It seemed to be going much more smoothly than he had imagined. 3. Lan Xinyan extended 3 fingers and sighed with emotion. I didn't think that status would be so useful. I only said that I had just left the clan and had yet to join a sect, but 3 sects had already sent me invitations. Each of them is one of the top 100 sects in the 33 continents, and the Red Lotus Sword sect is one of them. Lin Feng smiled. Only the top 100 sects in the 33 continents could reach this level. The Red Lotus Sword sect was ranked above the Shaoxiang Sword sect in the Eastcom continent, second only to the Slaying Sword Palace. It was ranked 87th in the 33 continents. Were the other 2 sects? Lin Feng asked. The other is also a sword sect, Heart-Piercing Island. Have you heard of it, Big Brother Lin? Lan Xinyan asked. Lin Feng nodded. It's ranked 81st in the 33 continents. It's located in the center of the Hidden Heart Ocean, which is located in the middle of the 3 continents. Everyone in the sect practices the sword. Lan Xinyan's beautiful eyes flickered. You know a lot, Big Brother Lin. The other sect is the Soaring Swallow Palace. I heard that all of its disciples are female. Soaring Swallow Palace. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. It's ranked 47th in the 33 continents. It only accepts female disciples. Although it doesn't specialize in the sword, its disciples all have superb movement techniques. Their movements are light and mysterious. They have a close relationship with the 8 Trigrams Palace. Yes. Lan Xinyan nodded immediately. Lin Feng asked, Have you made a decision? Lan Xinyan subconsciously shook her head. She lowered her head and murmured, I don't know what to do now. Although it said that people strive for greater heights. However, the most important thing is to be on the same page. How could Lin Feng not see the hesitation in Lan Xinyan's eyes? In terms of sex alone, the Flying Swallow Palace was undoubtedly the most outstanding one. From his standpoint and perspective, he would definitely choose the Flying Swallow Palace, but Lan Xinyan was different. She had her own concerns and ties. Lan Xinyan bit her lips and looked up. She didn't dare to look at Lin Feng. Actually, Big Brother Lin, I prefer the Red Lotus Sword sect. Lin Feng smiled. Because you're in the Eastcom continent? Lan Xinyan nodded. I know the upper limit of my talent. There's no difference between joining the Soaring Swallow Palace and the Red Lotus Sword sect. However, joining the Soaring Swallow Palace means leaving my hometown. I don't know when I'll be able to return. Also, I feel that the Red Lotus Sword sect's elder sister is more sincere to me. Can I, Big Brother Lin? Lan Xinyan looked at him with her beautiful eyes filled with anticipation. This was because she knew that this rare opportunity was given to her by Big Brother Lin. If Big Brother Lin wanted her to join the Soaring Swallow Palace, then of course you can, Lin Feng said with a smile. He wouldn't interfere with Lan Xinyan's choice. She was right about one thing. The upper limit of her talent was right there. If she chose a good sect and worked hard, Lan Xinyan would have a chance to reach the first stage in the future. However, that was all. Thank you, Big Brother Lin. Lan Xinyan's tears fell. She was overjoyed. In the arena, Lin Feng, first stage of the embryonic realm, a new perfect body. He defeated Zhu Liang, who's ranked 988 on the Glorious Stars list. A.O. Lin was a little stunned. These pieces of information bombarded his mind like thunder. Was this a joke? Wang Zhu was already monstrous enough. This Lin Feng was even more terrifying than him. He achieved a perfect body at first stage of the embryonic realm and defeated Zhu Liang, who was at seventh stage of the embryonic realm. Most importantly, he was relatively young. All of them had perfect bodies, but Ao Lin was still a distance away from one. Damn it. Ao Lin's expression was fierce. Actually, he already understood why Wang Zhu kept coming in and out to inquire about Lin Feng. Any other sect would do the same, including the God Nirvana sect. Young sect master, should we go and recruit this Lin Feng as well? The guard commander, Li Jun, probed. Ao Lin didn't say a word. He was also hesitating. Seeing that Ao Lin was a little tempted, Li Jun added, he's only in his 20s. He should be inexperienced. Chinese. I've never heard of this race before. With our God Nirvana sect's reputation and young sect master's charm, I believe we can recruit him. Ao Lin was stunned. He stared blankly at Li Jun. What did you just say? Which race is he from? Li Jun was dumbfounded. Chinese. I heard that's how he introduced himself just now. Chinese. Ao Lin's eyes widened. Although he didn't ask for the name of the Cyclone Stage youth in the Jinglan mountain range, he clearly heard that he was from the Chinese. This might be a coincidence, but twice, is it really that coincidental? Ao Lin's eyes flashed coldly. It must be him. This kid is actually still alive.